we're about to go somewhere out now. Times to rise and elevation starts to drop down. Our little secret, don't kiss and tell, you're so bad. I'll probably see you in hell. Welcome to hell, baby. This is podcast hell.
I had a couple situations recently at work where I was like really nice to somebody and like tried to hook them up with a package, and it came back to bite me in the ass. Yeah. So I think I'm going to go full shitty salesman now.
Yeah.
I think that's like my next, because I used to do timeshare, and that's like the most evil thing you can do.
That's rough.
It was pretty bad.
You tried to sell people timeshares?
Well, I was sending them packages to go into Colonial Williamsburg for a weekend.
Hey, now that's all right. That sounds pretty good.
But they had to do a timeshare presentation.
They had to, you get a free one, but you had to sit for how long was that?
Well, they would go like, it would be like 6 days, 7 nights in Colonial Williamsburg. You get to stay on the resort.
Really?
You get
free accommodations?
Not free. It's $339.
For 6 days?
Maybe I just said that.
No.
But you go for like a week. It was like a full vacation.
$340, that's huge.
Yes, it's huge. But you have to go on a 90-minute presentation, and they choose the day you go. Oh. And the percentage of those people that bought was insane.
Oh, it's so sad.
Because like the normal timeshare rate is like 5% of people buy. Oh. When you'd send them in on these packages, it was like 35%.
Because of guilt?
Was it a good package?
No, because they just had a great time. They went to Busch Gardens. We give them free golf. Like they're just like, it's going to be like this every time we go.
I want to do that. They get the timeshare in Williamsburg.
They get the timeshare in Williamsburg.
It's getting less.
So at the inn at Williamsburg?
Was it what?
Is it called the Inn at Williamsburg?
No, it was called, at the time, it was called I don't know if Plantation made it past the summer of 2020.
It's still historical down there. We went down there during COVID for the first trip like that anyone traveled again. I don't know, so 21, summer, July 4th, I think.
Yeah.
That's our mom's birthday, and she wanted us to like get together. Somehow Williamsburg was the only thing that was open because they're doing that plantation.
She wanted to do something else.
Stuff. And like there was some.
She wanted the homestead, but couldn't do it.
There was like at one point some reenactors talking to this little black girl, like explaining like how she like would have to be a slave. Like
I missed that. I didn't see that.
And I was like, I don't know, this is a bad look.
Well, they have slaves in the reenactment.
They have that, but they weren't themselves of color in any way. They were just talking to this little girl and
just so you understand, you would be a slave.
Yeah, it was that vibe. And then we did a weird ghost tour with the guy who kept bringing in his gun views and talking about respect when that guy proposed to his daughter. You remember any of that stuff?
See, now I think one of my kids might have vomited during that. Somebody had to change their shirt, and I had to go get a shirt.
Oh, that's right.
You remember that? I missed a lot of that.
How old are your kids?
18, 15, and 13.
Oh, damn.
But so then they would have been, 16, 14.
There was a young one.
How old are you?
I'm 46.
You look young.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I feel young.
When did you, so you must have started having kids in like
28. I was
Here's
28.
the thing, that's actually not old to start having kids.
It's old for a New York actor. I mean, it's young. Wait, it's young.
28 is not old?
28 is, for like all my friends in high school, 28 would be like, that's a normal time to start having kids.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, mind fucking
No, but
blown.
in New York, it was crazy.
Well, things switched a few. Like for our generation, I feel like people just waited longer. But I, for some reason, felt the need to start younger. Yeah, I just was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And our parents were really young. I don't know. I felt there's something like kind of honest about it. Just like, let's have kids. It was great. I've loved every second of it. I'm gonna cry thinking about my son leaving in a couple months. Yeah.
This is a safe place to cry if you need to cry. You got a therapy dog right next to you.
About, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you also once get roped into some kind of Vegas?
Oh yeah.
dinner?
So can we talk about timeshares? Yeah, I have a pretty awesome timeshare experience. I feel like.
Let's hear it.
So on my honeymoon when I was 27, we got married and decided to take a 3-month road trip. We were living in New York. We were both pretty broke. I think I'd done one commercial and was waiting on those residuals, and I was living off unemployment, and we sublet our apartment to Chris. Anyway, we were
and my cousin.
Yeah, and my cousin Lucia. You're gonna be famous, Lucia. So anyway, we drove to we just drove around the States, and we went to Vegas after camping. That was kind of early on. We camped in Big Bend. Have you guys ever been there? Texas?
No.
Big Bend National Park is pretty awesome.
I hear good things.
It's like, I think it's the Chino Mountains, southwest Texas, way down there. Anyway, we were a mess. So we came out of camping and we got to Vegas and we thought we were living high on the hog. And I was like, we can get a free steak dinner if we go to dinner and a show. Like, we got nothing but time. And I was like, oh, dinner and a show. If we just got to go this timeshare thing. And like my poor wife, I dragged her on this, but I was like, let's go do it. And so you have to meet on the street corner with all these people and get on a bus, and they take you like 45 minutes outside of Las Vegas to some hotel where you go into this conference room. And man, it was just so weird. It was a horrible thing to go to, but I'm really glad that I went. The steak dinner and the show were both really, really like D grade. They were not good at all.
Was the steak dinner outside of Vegas?
The steak dinner was back in Vegas at a certain at some down at the heels, like the Safari or something old. Okay. And it was like a buffet, and I was like, oh god, this steak is horrible. And then the show was really kind of gross. It was like, it was not good. But there was some cool stuff in it. There was some guys who rode their motorcycles in a cage on stage. Like
that's pretty
three of them, missed each other. Just like they were zipping around like that. There was dancers that were kind of like old and not that good. Anyway, but the crazy thing for me about the timeshare place was that people actually got them, right? So like we're sitting at like tables. It was all like about sales technique, and I'm sure you had to do all these different things. But like they start out a big thing like who's gonna do it today? This way they show you the whole thing about it.
Pumped.
You get pumped. They're having balloons and the shooting stuff like pooh, and like and there was this really old guy who drove a bus for like 40 years, and he had this kind of young girlfriend. And he's like, I'm just doing timeshares for the rest of my life. I'm just getting all the timeshares. It was like $6,000 today, and you will have this, and blah, 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 blah. And we just kept saying no, my wife and I, and then they don't like that.
You also didn't have any money to buy it.
I had no money for this. But I was kind of like, I'll listen to the thing.
It wasn't like you're like, that's out of our budget.
And I also thought I was
literally no potential for you to buy a $6,000 time.
Yeah, and I thought I might still be getting like I was trying to listen to the movie play because I thought I might be getting like a nice steak and a nice show, which I wasn't. But the thing that they kept getting you into smaller and smaller groups. Mm-hmm. And like I kept saying no, I can't do it. And the line I would say was like, look, I don't even own my own home. I can't buy some other home that for a week of the year. But then they sent in like it was like I noticed. Yeah, they sent in a closer. They sent in this guy whose name was something as real as Dusty, and he had like those those like maroon glasses, he had like maroon glasses. He had a huge handlebar mustache. He had leathery tan skin and white. It was like gray white hair. He looked like he was such a Westerner, and he was like, "All right, you two," and he like got us there and he put us at the table. He was like, what's holding you back? Like it was like this really creepy, weird thing. And I was like, whoa, this guy is really doing something. I was like, dude, I'm so sorry, but I really can't do this right now. And meanwhile, like balloon guns are going off and like somebody else is like, we got another one, he bought it, and they sold it. And then they were just like mad at you for not doing it.
Let me tell you about Dusty, because I know Dusty that I worked with. Mine was Barry. Was his name.
Yeah, the closer.
And Dusty was clearing $150,000 to $200,000 a year. And he was killed in the Cayman Islands in 2008.
In what
How
way?
old was he?
He was murdered by a hooker.
Shut up.
And he was 98 years old, but he looked like he was 55 for the last 40 years.
That's the way he always wanted to go.
Yeah, those closer types, those are the craziest fucking people.
Living in the moment.
Those are the people that have done every other job at the timeshare.
Yeah.
And now they're like, this is their last stop before killing their wife.
Or getting killed by their hooker.
Some serious Glenn Gary type shit.
It's ending in blood for sure.
So is it good or bad to be that guy? Like for them, or is it like a high position?
It's definitely. It's
not the job people
want. For your
want.
soul, it's bad.
For your soul, it's bad. For your pocketbook, it's probably good. It's probably the best job to have there.
Okay, so in the company, it's a good job to get.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you're the guy that's close, for a while, like I worked it out of college, and I did it for a year before I moved to New York. And I was really good at getting people to sign up for these vacations. Like, we'd go to, like, Cincinnati.
Wait, I have questions about this. Where did you go to college?
I went to school, Christopher Newport.
Yeah, okay. So you're still down south in
I graduate.
How do you get this job?
I needed a summer job. I didn't want to work in restaurants anymore.
Okay.
So I was like, I'll do this for,
Did you know someone who had this job?
Yes.
All right.
My friend.
All right.
Nicholas.
Yeah.
Christopher Newport is... I'll let her out.
Yeah.
Christopher Newport is Virginia Beach?
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes outside of Virginia Beach.
Hamptony?
Hamptony.
Yeah.
So I would like But I got really good at it, and they started having me do these remote trade shows in like Cincinnati or Cleveland, and so I'd be sending families down to Colonial Williamsburg. and like a week before I moved to New York, they were like, because I had to work with this dude on the road who was he was the closer for their trade shows.
Did he,
and he was just this old.
Closed?
He is missing he's missing teeth. He just looked crazy, kind of like the leathery skin that Dan was talking about. But he would like
just you and him in a car.
Me and him in a car, and me and him in a hotel room.
Oof.
And we'd be in Philly or something. And he would like, I'd be talking to somebody, I'd be like almost getting to close, and then Barry would just kind of like hunchback, come over and be like, "Hey, what's going on over here? What's
you would interfere with your quarry?
What's holding you back?"
Yeah,
he would just go into his pitch. He was a fucking gross looking dude, and people would buy from him.
Interesting.
He was just like he had a lot of charisma for he was also like, apparently he was doing hardcore drugs in the hotel room while I was there.
Yeah.
I remember at one point I came back and they thought I was doing drugs with him in the hotel room, and like they thought we were hooking up because there was all this like porn that was ordered to our hotel room.
All Barry though.
And I'm like, "No, Barry, why do you think I was in there watching porn with him doing crack? What are you talking about?"
Wouldn't be the first time, Eric.
Yeah, that's a tough job.
Those guys also get fired for 2 months and come back a lot. When I moved to New York, I was squatting, so I had a lot of like drug addict, crazy roommates in the first. It was in Williamsburg.
Where?
It was like Hope Street.
Yeah.
Hope and Roebling.
All the way at the end.
Yeah, I remember it was like Obama was getting elected. I was like, I live on Hope Street, man.
Yes.
I was very excited about that.
Right by where Jonathan robbed that girl, actually.
Yeah, it probably maybe it was.
I'd
where
love
I
to hear
fucking
about
lived.
your squat.
The squat. The only reason I'll give you the abridged version is I talked about it on the last episode of the podcast.
Oh, okay. I can just go listen to that. Yeah.
But it was. I was there for a year. It was like for 6 months it was cool, and then it got
How
dirty
did you know
and
that
gross.
there was a squad available?
I just wired money to some dude when I was in Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg. That's the reason, by the way. That's the reason I moved to Williamsburg.
Did you squat in Colonial
That's the
Williamsburg?
No.
Okay,
I had a normal life in Colonial
That's
Williamsburg.
the least hip reason that anyone ever moved.
Well, I was literally like, "Oh, there's a place called Williamsburg in New York." Like, I didn't even know where that fucking was.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what it was in Brooklyn or whatever.
Right.
So I just like showed up, had an address, like found the place, and the guy took 3 months security deposit.
Oh, God.
But it was also like $150, and I was living in literally like a box with no windows.
Yeah,
it was like a factory floor cut up.
That's pretty good.
And after a month,
You had a bathroom?
it got condemned. There was like 30 people living there. There were 4 bathrooms. And when it got condemned, everybody left. They were like fire marshals or whatever, were kicking people out.
I think I know this building that you
Yeah. Yeah. I was just like, was like telling them like, I can't go anywhere. I don't know anybody here. And they were like, okay. And then they just left. And so I stayed. And then I just kind of just rolled into a full, it was like a year plus.
That might sound crazy to people that don't know things, but I have like multiple friends who lived in, like the McKibben Street lofts were a very similar thing that all got cleared out. I had other friends who like didn't pay rent for 3 years living in these industrial buildings. And then that girl who got robbed, the first 4 floors of her building that was like 16 floors were like renovated and super fucking expensive. And then above the 4th floor, like was all squatters who'd been there since like the late 90s or the late 80s even. Yeah. And they only paid retainer fees to lawyers who like, kept them living there with squatters' rights.
It's fucking gross.
Yeah.
It's like again, I there were people that stayed much longer than me, and like after a year, I was like, I like unfriended people on Facebook. I was like, I
don't know if everyone
this is a gnarly
would
group.
do that. You know, like I lived in a squatters-esque situation. I just didn't hate it.
I lived in an old convent. It was great.
Yeah, right? Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
That was the greatest place I ever lived.
But I think there's a lot of people that would never even consider just like after the fire marshal kicks you out to be like, can I just please stay here, or can I just stay here anyway?
Well,
you know,
the people that wouldn't consider it, I think, are right.
Yeah.
Like I don't look back and go like that was a good decision. I mean, it was kind of like financially it helped a lot because I was broke.
Yeah.
But it was also just kind of born out of fucking.
People go home to their parents now more, or ask parents for more money. They don't just be like, "I'll be fine." Right. Well, I guess that's it.
That was my main thing. I moved out when I was 17 and like never lived back home.
Oh wait. So you're how old at this point?
22.
Are you doing comedy?
Yeah.
You were.
Nice.
Improv?
I was doing everything. When I moved to New York.
How old were you when I met you, like through the pit?
Probably 23.
Okay, so it was like around this same time.
Yeah, I think you probably met me towards the end of my squatting.
Okay.
My squatting was like when I was taking classes and shit. And I would do open mics on the nights I didn't have improv. I would get a job and then quit it immediately if it conflicted with like a level 2 improv class. Like I just had no fucking.
I kept on trying to take improv classes. My manager was like, "You should go." You know, he like introduced me to the guy who ran UCB or something at the time. I kept on having babies, and I would like I can't go out at night. I just can't. I'm too tired. I don't care. Although I wish I had, because there's so many wonderful colleagues that you make, you know, and like you rise together, sort of. I feel like
we rise.
I missed a boat. I missed a boat.
right.
You know?
Level that we're
I have
at
some
now.
good friends who have that lexicon with each other, you know.
Look, man. After like a year of improv, it's just fucking hanging out with your friends and getting laid.
As
That's
long as
kind
you're
of
also doing stand-up, improv can be
I don't
great.
feel like that's it for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, improv is not a career path, but there was a brief shining moment where there was an improv.
It is for
like,
some people.
boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I got I never wanted to act, but I got commercials from improv. And then there was like years where I was just doing
That's where
commercial
casting
acting.
still go.
And
They're like, yeah, we got to go to UCB to find the next, you know,
I still
whoever.
think
shout out Erica Palgon.
Like, let's look at fucking Kurt, though. Like, he started at UCB when it started in New York in the early days. Then he was at the Pit for forever. He had easily 10, 15 years of, like, the top tier level of improv in New York City. Nothing.
He's a movie star.
Yes, because he stopped and started doing stand-up. And within fucking 3 years, he got, like, snatched up by...
Well, he'd also done a lot of work to get to that point.
I'm not saying it's not good for the muscles. I'm just saying the industry doesn't quite understand it for some reason, I think.
Yeah, look, I'm like, I have. It was great. I'm glad it's over. I like stand up more. That's how I feel. I'm like, I'm glad that I transitioned out and.
I was working with stand up today. Her name's Kalia McNeil. Do you know Kalia?
I don't.
She's funny. She's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you working on, or can you say?
I hope so. Yeah. I'm working on a Geico commercial. We're doing some Geico commercials this week.
3 spots.
Got 3 spots. We're the new Geico trainees. If it never airs, oh well, it's gonna air. It's a lot of good people, a lot of funny people. This guy Brian Billow, O Positive's directing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Still
he's
O
awesome.
Positive?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a billow joint.
It's Billow joint.
Dan
yeah,
just
he's
got
so funny.
fucked out of a Super Bowl commercial that he shot with who's the famous director?
David Fincher.
yeah.
And his DP Eric is the DP on this job. And I was like, "Were you on the Budweiser commercial with like David Fincher?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm his DP. I did all his movies. I did The Killer." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Didn't air during the Super Bowl.
It didn't air, and he said they might be playing it for the Olympics. Is what he said. Yeah, yeah,
You want to know a great David Fincher movie?
sure.
The Game.
Yeah, it's the best one, I think.
It's so fucking good.
wanna
It's my
see that.
family's
I've never
favorite
seen
movie.
it.
Dude, people always act like that movie's like good but uneven. I'm like, that movie's banger start to finish.
Here's the thing. It's not. I don't think it's a great ending, but
I mean, it's
like,
surprising
tell
the
me
first time.
about it.
Don't
Don't
we shouldn't
tell me.
spoil
we
it.
won't.
I
We
wanna
won't.
watch this.
We won't spoil anything.
Yeah, you're gonna
but
try.
I'll just tell you, like, when I'm with my family, at some point, if like somebody new we're dating, one of my siblings is dating somebody. There's a friend over.
Game
At some point, someone
The
goes, "Have you
Game."
seen The Game?" And most people go, "What's The Game?" And my whole family goes, "Oh fuck! Put it on net!" Like,
Yeah.
we force somebody to watch The Game,
We're
and they
that
watch
way.
it with 8 of us, just staring
Have
at
there
them.
any people who haven't passed the game test? Is that
Every person we've shown The Game to goes, "That was a really good movie."
good? That's smart.
I think it's an undeniably great movie.
I once broke up with a girl because we watched Office Space, and she was like, "I don't get it," and I was like, "This is pretty much over."
Yeah.
Not specifically because of that; it was pretty much over anyways. But I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you don't understand why this is funny. I don't know. How
Probably also the sex wasn't very good.
I don't remember. I was like 24 or something. It was just we were like, she was a buyer for Ralph Lauren, and I was a high school teacher. We were of 2 different ilks.
There's no way the sex was good, but she didn't like Office Space, and you ended it. That's not that
It
doesn't
is.
seem possible.
She was really cute, that girl.
She was hot.
but you really Office Space.
Well,
was
if you're
like,
not gonna have a
That's not
love
why.
connection,
We like just
you know,
were like
different
2
worlds.
different worlds.
Yeah.
She said to me also around that time, I didn't vote, but if I did, I think I probably would have voted for Bush. I don't fucking know. And I was like, this isn't working out between us. But she did have sample sale access a lot of the time. She taught me about a weird world of New York that I knew nothing
She
about.
taught me that Ralph Lauren was pronounced Ralph Lauren instead of Ralph Lauren, which we all used to say.
Only really lame people, tacky people say Loren. And she's always like, he's from Queens. His name is Ralph Lauren. And I was like, right, noted. I
There
won't
you
make
go.
that mistake again.
Well,
And
look,
I never
that
did.
there you
It's been
go.
a great podcast. Thanks for having
All
us
right,
on.
guys.
No problem. You guys, look, the dog's crushing it. Look at that. The cuteness of the dog is undeniable.
Yeah, Frankie.
Congratulations to you.
Yes, I have.
Not for your fucking kid, for tricking me to come over here to do the
I
podcast.
offered to go.
What a fucking trickster move.
You want to swim? You want to go for a swim?
I
Chris has
literally-
got
like to
a
know.
pool.
I said to you, my family's out of town. I will come to you.
This is what happened. I made the offer to come over here, assuming the baby and the wife would be here and it'd make it easier for Chris to do it.
Gotcha, sucker.
Already way over my fucking.
Where are you driving from?
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It matters.
North Hollywood. It doesn't
Oh, that
matter.
sucks.
Fucking Barack Obama went to Mark Maron's basement to shoot shit. But I'm coming here for Chris O'Brien. Give me a fucking break.
I offered
so
to go to you.
He offered to go to me, but he was like, the traffic will be bad. I'll make it work. And I'm a people pleaser, so I was like, well, no, I'll come over to you. And then as I'm leaving my house, my wife goes, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I'm doing a podcast at Chris. And she goes, oh, I didn't know Chris had a podcast. I go, no, it's my podcast. Fuck! I just realized you fucking got me, bro.
I didn't get you.
You fucking got me.
started out this with emails saying, I will come to you, those of you
Who have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But assuming
when we set
Counts.
the date, I had no idea that Harriet and Walter were going to Big Bear, which is where they are right now with Dan's family.
When does this
And
come
we're
out?
both here for some reason.
When does this come out?
Like 2 weeks, probably.
Okay, all right. So you're going to miss the gig. We have a gig on Saturday, though. Chris and I are going to be playing live music at a block party. And you coming over here facilitated us having a rehearsal, which I really appreciate.
Hey, you know
so
what?
I just want to say thank you.
I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
You got literally better treatment than Obama.
Driving sucks. Around LA, it's the worst.
I actually don't even mind. I kind of like driving. I'm a podcast guy, so it's like I always have shit to
hate
listen
it.
to.
Your identity through and through.
Yeah,
is
no.
podcast.
you
my
listen
only,
to
my only
podcasts.
anger about coming over here wasn't the drive. It was just feeling like Chris got something out of me that.
That's so strange because my
gonna
whole
eat
read
you
on it
alive.
was like, oh shit, he offered because my kids were here, or my kid was here, and it's not, so I'll offer to go to him. And he was like, no, don't worry about it.
I'm more mad at myself than I'm mad at you.
Yeah.
It really like you just did look, man. That's why you're a great realtor. Like as I was like soothing myself on the
Sales.
drive over, I was going like, you know what?
Yeah, it might
I got a good deal on my place because of Chris. It's
real
fair that I
truth
drive over to
is
his
that, like,
house.
Chris timeshared you.
Yeah, those guys
He kinda did.
they think that they're elite level, but those guys are pussy salesmen compared to what I actually do.
Boom.
Boom.
Which
It
I'm
was
not
a
proud
dynamite.
of. The other thing that I was going to say when we were talking about that, all those techniques reminded me of the Landmark Forum. You New Yorkers, any of you ever get pulled into a weird Landmark Forum?
No, thank God.
No.
The
You know what
landmark.
the Landmark Forum is?
No.
Dianetics.
It's in the neighborhood. So it used to be Est. Have you
Oh,
ever
yeah.
heard of Est in the 70s?
I did
Which, a guy who was friends with L. Ron Hubbard, basically, he
Used
got
car
sued
salesman.
by him for stealing his ideas. Instead of doing the religion, he formed a corporation. And he originally was like doing Est, which was like about freeing your mind or whatever. He later was accused
car
of,
salesman
like,
from Ohio.
Yeah, he was. And he was later accused of sexual molestation, so they like rebranded as the Landmark Forum. But many an actor in New York is like, it's a positivity cult about like, I can do anything, and like they teach you how
Yeah.
to like achieve your dreams. And the way they get you is like, if you went and did it, you're there for like a 5-night thing. Ooh. On the 5th night, your graduation ceremony, you have to like invite 4 good friends down there, and then it's like relentless recruitment attempts.
Yeah.
You did that?
Oh yeah. So one of the guys I lived with at the convent, he had a girlfriend who was way into it.
Oh, God.
And he fucking invited me down there, and it feels like it's kind of like an honor, so you can't say like no or whatever. Because the way they couch it is like, I'm gonna sell you on like this beautiful experience I've had. I want to share it with you. They don't tell you they're gonna try to like draft you in there. So this kid graduated from Harvard, and he asked like 2 of his Harvard friends and me
Smart but stupid.
to come down to this thing. Just like the least likely people to be taken in by this kind of bullshit. And it was like right across from Madison Square Garden, and they have like an equally large facility, and you go down like 4 flights down an escalator into these giant conference rooms where people have like those Madonna style microphones on, and they're like, you can have the job, you can have the family, you can have everything. And people are going fucking crazy, and cannons are blowing up, and they're like, who wants to sign up right now? We'll take you right now. And people are like running to the back, and I was like, this is the fucking craziest shit I've ever seen.
Get out of there.
And then there's like people getting testimonials, crying, being like, I hadn't like talked to my mom in 10 years, but now I'm not taking my medicine anymore because of this place. And you're like, well, this doesn't sound good. And either way, they do the same shit where they like try to like get you into small groups, and they're constantly being like, do you want to sign up? Do you want to sign up? Then they take you off to small groups, and they have plants sitting next to you, and they're like, what? You should sign up. You should sign up. And you have to do these like worksheets that are like, say what your goal is, and like do this like bullshit. And one point I got up and tried to go to the bathroom, which I was just going to leave. And like, it's like a labyrinth under there. There's no windows. There's no clocks. And the second I got out there and tried to get to the bathroom, there was like 4 people in the hallway being like, can we help you back to your room? And I was like, and I like went back in there, and I was just thinking like, this is such bullshit. Like, why would anybody fucking do this? You have to give them your money.
feel
and then
unsafe.
I like turn to the side, and the girl next to me is like in tears, and she's like, I just can't lose weight, and I've been trying. And they're like, get her, sign her up, and they like whisked her out of the room. And I was like, this is fucked up.
No.
It's people have like, it really is like just playing on people's emotions. Like that's even like for
A need.
even for selling for my thing, like we always call it like find the pain, salt the pain. That's all you're doing.
Don't say that.
That's what that was.
I mean,
That's what they teach?
but here's the thing.
Find the pain. Do what to the pain?
Salt the pain.
Oh, not
salt?
Not
That's even worse.
SOLVE. The pain.
Yeah, but here's the thing, man.
Listen.
Like this is what I'm selling. That where I used to sell an invisible product. Now I sell a thing that like helps people's businesses get organized
Some
and
management
markets
solution.
them.
Are you disorganized?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like
CRM bullshit.
I sold. Well, you think it's bullshit to have a CRM for your?
I'm just saying.
What's
You're
a
saying
CRM?
It's a customer relations module or some bullshit, something like that.
Module? That's how
It's a
that's how you
module.
talk about
It's
that's like the
I
thing.
talk about it like I'm very good at building rapport
You
with
actually
people.
do sell CRMs?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
It's like a software. It's like a
Well, that's
software
like a big
for
real estate thing they're always trying to sell me. Is like, you need a CRM to better manage your clients. And I'm always like,
Oh yeah, like lead management.
Yes, exactly.
We don't do it for realtors, but they keep like talking about including that at some point. I'll annoy you. I've sold it to people in my family and a couple friends.
Sure.
Like I think it does work, but it's like it's also a thing where you gotta like want to make a change.
Well, that's honestly,
we
that's what I
go.
used to say about
Yeah, you gotta tell me your dreams.
like Landmark Forum. If you are a motivated person with okay money and you want to like pay somebody $600 for 4 days to like get you motivated to finish your fucking screenplay or lose a little weight or whatever you want to do, great, that's
Coaching.
fine. But they also have like literally mentally ill people in there, and they're just like, anything is possible with your mind. Don't take your meds, fucking. And then they just like send them out into the streets, and then like people have killed themselves.
I feel like at the top of those things, there's always a dude getting blown by a
for
bunch
sure.
of chicks.
well, it was
Like-
children in this case. That's what originally
Oh,
was
it
asked.
was
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
That's worse.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both bad.
Yeah.
But that one's worse.
You guys seen Ren Fair? This is
I've
major
heard it's
vibes
good.
like that. It's really good. I watched the first 2 episodes last 2 days.
Ren
on
Fair, like,
Netflix. It's
well,
a documentary about the some original or one of an old Ren Fair in Texas, and the guy's like 86-year-old has been running it for
Guys are
55
fucking
years.
Millionaires, dog.
He's a millionaire. He talks about being a millionaire, but he's King George. He calls himself king. He's built this whole fiefdom. He owns the land. All the people work for him. It's like mind control, power control. It's almost like a Danny McBride character come to life or something. It's like,
Yeah.
it's really worth watching.
But Ren Fair, in my mind, is like people like pretending to be like witches
That's what
and
it
yeah,
is.
shit.
that's what
He
this
runs
is.
one of the oldest Renaissance fairs.
He's
in the
created
country.
it, and
And it's
like
like his empire in Texas.
it's so good. It's oh god.
It's just always like my wife gets really into like cult documentaries, and she's
Yeah,
like,
she'll
I'm-
like this.
She's like, I'm worried I'm gonna join one. I'm like, what do you have? My wife's like from New York, all street smart. So I'm like, why are you concerned
She's on the
about
edge,
this?
huh?
I think it's like I think like her parents showed her a cult movie when she was 9, like a little too early to just like.
Did you guys watch Nexium?
You
That-
could,
Yes,
that
I was.
terrible.
That's like the pussy branding one.
Albany.
That one was fucking.
His initials.
That one's
Albany, New York.
wild.
It is.
Yeah, I knew things were off when they started talking about how, and this is all taking place in Albany. And he's
Yeah.
like, you have to move to Albany, New York, because that's the center of the
Yeah.
new Renaissance
And
or
you have to
whatever.
Yeah.
play volleyball, and you're
Yeah.
like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, I was
And
like,
he's like, I'm pretty much the
no.
smartest guy in the world.
Yeah, you would not be living in Albany, New York if you're the smartest guy. I love Albany too. Our father's from Albany.
I was just in Albany doing
Oh, yeah?
stand up.
Nice.
And you
Where
know
at?
what?
Where?
A guy branded me right next to my dick. And now I'm thinking it might be related.
Yeah.
Could be. There's a lot of those
yeah.
Nexium cast-offs still there.
I don't have a lot of like I struggle when my wife has those shows on. I don't feel enough sympathy for the people in the cult.
Well, those people
I
were
just
evil,
kind of do
set up to watch it that way, though. You're supposed to ridicule these people. It's
I
TV.
just in my mind I go like, yeah, you got abused, but you kind of have to be an idiot.
Well, the weird thing is, like, Hollywood is very sympathetic to this kind of thinking. Like, even if you're not one of these people.
Yeah, you know why? Because Hollywood's filled with a bunch of dumb, beautiful people that get taken by that shit.
It's also an impossible...
That's why they're sympathetic.
Well, it's also because it's an impossible business that is mostly failure for most people. And so if you can have this positive narrative about things, it can make you feel like you're actualizing and whatever, manifesting bullshit, so you don't have to feel bad about the fact that you're, you know, Popeyes in Hollywood 40 years after you were the prettiest girl in your high school. And
I feel like as I get older, I get much better. It's just like cold truth is better. Yeah. I'd rather just have my feelings hurt in the moment than have somebody give me flowery language to explain something. It's like I get cult vibes from everything now.
The funny thing, like Scott Eckert, who we are friends with, was like a fit person. Well, Dan's not really friends with. Dan is friends with him. We know him from New York. And I remember when he first moved out here, he had like a general meeting with like somebody big. And he thought it like went okay. And afterwards, like his manager texted him or something and was like, how'd it go? And he texted back like, pretty good. I think it went reasonably well. And they like called immediately and were like, what happened? And he was like, what do you mean? And they were like, oh, like, was it a catastrophe? And he was like, eventually realized that, like, the fact that he hadn't been like, it was the greatest fucking thing ever, which is how everybody is all the time as they're, like, level 1 out here. They thought that it was, like, a disaster. And he was like, no, it was fine. But, like, normally people are like, oh, my God, it's the greatest. I have so many fans over there. I'm so looking forward to it. You know,
love each other. It was a total love connection. We want to work on stuff together.
Yeah. Long future together.
It's why
I hate all the fakeness.
It's why when someone gets like I don't use the word canceled, but just like in trouble. Like I'm trying to think of an example of someone that we're allowed to hate. Steven Seagal. Like everybody's like, wait, we're allowed to say that someone sucks?
We do.
Let's all make jokes about one. It's like it immediately goes from like, I love working with Steven and Under Siege. No, he's really wait. It's turned. He's never going to have something to offer me in the business again. Let's everybody shut up. Let's everybody shut up. It's a pile-on culture because people don't usually have the ability to just say how they really feel about people.
Yeah.
But he's also such an extreme example that like...
And I missed this whole business.
He's just a lunatic.
But this is the difference. We all lived in New York. In New York, you fucking talk shit about people all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's all. When I hang out here, when I'm like hanging out with anybody that I consider a friend, it's somebody from New York, and we're shitting on our friends.
Sure.
That's all we're doing. And that's like, there's a level of that's like, you have to get that out of your system. Otherwise, you'll go fucking crazy.
But people
just
out
pretending
here, like,
that you think everything everybody's doing is awesome. You don't.
But you just can't say anything out here. And like, I at first really resisted that. And then like, I found myself in a couple conversations where I was like, oh, Rick and Morty's not as good as it used to be. And then I was like, oh, she writes on Rick and Morty. And I was like, that was good. Like, you just like aren't allowed to talk shit about things that are people's like livelihoods. And they don't have any control over it. They're like, I didn't want that movie to be shit, but like I worked on it for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's not your fault, really, you know? Like,
that's why this podcast it's the truth. I can come on this podcast and say the last James Bond was shit.
See, this is
and you know what?
The death one?
I'm not worried. It fucking sucked, dude.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way.
Who died?
I was like, it felt fine to me. Like, I didn't think it was good, but I didn't care about it.
Here's why it sucked. He doesn't, first, it's James Bond.
Sure.
Doesn't get laid the entire movie.
Which James Bond is it? Who's the actor?
The end of the blonde.
End of Daniel Craig.
Oh, Daniel Craig.
He doesn't get laid the whole movie. At one point, he like his catchphrase where he goes, Bond, James Bond. The way they do it in the movie is he goes to whatever MI6 or whatever it is, and they don't know him, so he's like at the computer going Bond, and the lady looks at him. She's like James Bond. Like she has to, like they make him a fucking bitch. They make him suck in the movie. He's not James Bond anymore.
Yeah,
he's like not getting laid. He's not cool. He's like too old to do shit. It's like
Jason Bourne.
I mean,
it's a bunch of movies written by people who hate the fucking character they're writing for.
That's
that
not good.
Maybe
sucks.
they don't need to keep making those movies. Maybe that's a hot take.
That
I
would be
guess,
the.
but-
That's so true. If you want to make
Or make them good. People like, people. It's a
make-
brand that people go to the movies for.
either make it in the way that people like it.
People like Skyfall. I think.
Yeah.
I think people thought that was
It
really
had a
good
weird fourth
screenplay.
act.
Yeah.
Well, I liked the. What's the one that was the guy that did
Bardem?
no the guy that did Dune. What's that director's name?
Just now, the Dennis Newvy or something.
That guy did one of the James Bonds.
Did he?
I think he did.
He might have.
And that one looks really
That's
cool.
probably Skyfall. Skyfall is the one that has Javier Bardem, and he's all like.
Oh,
fucked
yeah,
up and
yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
I also like Adele's Skyfall.
I think that's all part and parcel of the same film.
That's pretty good.
I like Adele.
Adele is
alright.
Oh, I thought we were talking about computers.
You could use that in your stand-up.
yeah. Adele's hot. I'm going out on a limb.
I mean, she didn't used to be. She's one of those like crazy plastic surgery.
Does she have plastic surgery?
Like, look at her side by side. She used to be this awesome, like, sort of like trashy Londoner portly
Yeah.
girl, and now she's like all cheekbones and.
But I think she just lost weight. I don't think she,
she
had
lost a
plastic
lot
surgery.
of weight.
Not on her
and
lips.
did
This is pre Ozempic.
Yeah,
Like she
did the hard way.
she got to the planking.
Yeah, she
and fucking.
or she did the liposuction.
Planking helps you lose weight.
Apparently, planking's very good for you.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
According to
When I plank, I shake, and I've heard that's good. I've heard when your
shakes.
body's shaking,
Yeah.
that's really good for your nervous
it
system or
shakes,
something.
and then your forearms get sweaty, and you start to slide down.
Oh yeah.
So wait, you're doing a low plank, not a full-on push-up plank.
Push-up planks are.
Yeah, you plank on
I'll
your
do it.
forearms.
Well, sometimes I'll do the planks where you're doing this, and then you go up,
Yeah.
crazy.
and then you come down.
You know what I don't like?
Those fucking hurt.
Is
planking.
a burpee. Those are the fucking worst.
Burpees are.
Tough.
Yeah.
So they'll get you. It means you got to do them.
Hate everything about it.
That means you got to do more of them.
No, I have that shoulder thing, and the push-up part of it. Fucks
Don't
it
do
all.
that. Yeah, just don't. You got to modify.
Yeah. My big workout now is like walking to get tacos after work. I'll be like, I'll do
Like Bill Clinton jogging to McDonald's.
a brisk walk into Dos Taquitos across the street.
Taquitos are good for you, sort of.
They're
Yeah.
deep fried, I think.
Yeah, no, they're bad.
Yeah.
Tacos are better then.
Tacos are better.
I'll do a chicken
Corn.
taco. I'll do a huevos rancheros from this Mexican
At
place. I'll do a
okay.
huevos rancheros any time of the fucking day if they make it.
That's crazy.
If they'll throw some eggs on. I mean, you eat eggs at night too with a bunch of shit.
I don't.
You ever do a shakshuka?
Chris hates
I hate eggs. It's a weird thing. About it.
hate eggs.
Let's not talk about it too long.
What
'cause
the
we'll all start thinking about. We'll all start hating eggs if we talk about this too
What's
long.
wrong with eggs?
They're disgusting.
Give me
Everything about them is
look.
disgusting.
Give me your short version of why eggs suck.
Every
I mean,
time
you
he
can get into the mental like
They're
idea
embryos.
of what you're actually eating. The embryos is gross, but like I don't even need all that because they're like the texture, the breaking, the snotty yolk, the fucking everything about them is disgusting.
and I feel that way
Yeah.
about pickles.
Smell awful. And like if
They
you
don't
fry
smell.
one, I'm like fine, put it on something I can eat it. And like I'll eat anything that's cooked
Yeah.
in eggs. But like just the idea of eating like an over easy egg. One time I was in Germany.
Oh, you
during-
don't like over easy eggs. I don't like those either.
No, I
But
could
that's
eat,
not all eggs.
He don't eat no eggs.
I don't eat any eggs, but if I had to, I could eat scrambled eggs with fucking ketchup or something. Like
What
that.
about an egg souffle?
No, I wouldn't get that.
You'd never do a baked souffle.
What about a frittata?
I mean, I can eat these things, but I wouldn't.
What
I'll
about
tell
a
you what the
tortilla?
worst thing for me. I was once in Germany, in high school. We were on like a trip or whatever, and we had to stay with homestay families. And they gave me fucking hard-boiled eggs to eat at like breakfast.
Those suck.
And I would try to eat them out of politeness, and I would like be throwing up like in my mouth. It was like the worst thing I ever had to swallow in my
I don't
life.
like all that yellow at once. I'll eat the egg whites off a hard boiled egg, but the egg
Yeah.
yellow is just like
And a deviled egg makes me very upset.
I don't like
I will.
those.
I gotta say, I go pretty hard on eggs. I
eat 'em all the time.
I enjoy them. I'll have them for dinner sometimes.
Almost every day I probably eat eggs.
Yeah.
Think
Are
that-
they? Is every single egg would be a chicken if you
Don't
sat
think
on
about
it?
it. No, don't
They're
think
not
about it.
fertilized, I don't think.
Don't talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
I think
awful.
Well, the
They're
more
like-
you tell me not to talk about it, the deeper I want to go.
I don't really know.
How do they get fertilized? Like
I think they are fertilized.
they
I think
have
you
to
just
fuck.
grab them before they, grow.
Let's go through this. Let's go through this. There's a rooster and a chicken.
This is what I don't want to do.
There's a rooster and a hen.
Is it a cloaca? Is that what's going on?
Is it a what?
Do you know what a cloaca is?
What's a
No
cloaca?
one wants to hear this.
Like an orifice that birds use, and they put it together. That's how they mate.
It's like, is it like
they
a
don't
corkscrew penis? Like,
no, that's a duck. Ducks
Okay.
have those. But like birds
Yeah.
have a cloaca, which is just like like they mash
Would
their
you guys
orifices.
shut up
What's
about
wrong?
the freaking cloacas? This is gross and no one wants to hear it.
Yeah, eggs are gross.
no, I disagree.
What were we talking about right before this?
I don't, just let us talk about
We
eggs.
were talking about
what is
working
that?
out.
There's nothing. Here,
Yeah, burpees, planking.
sometimes before I plank, I'll just crack 5 or 6 eggs
Gross.
into it.
I did have a friend
that's
from
what Rocky
France.
fucking did.
I
Yeah.
did have a friend from France who we got pizza at his house after school one day. It was like his family had a pizza on a Friday night, and it was like, Domino's pizza. We were all so excited, and then his mom cracked 2 raw eggs on the pizza before I got any, and I was like, "Oh,
My wife will say that
couldn't eat
sometimes.
it.
My wife will sometimes go like,
a raw egg."
she'll go, well, not a raw egg, but she'll go, what do you got over there? I'll be like, rice. She'll be like, maybe I'll crack an egg over it.
Yeah.
Eat it myself.
Rice,
My
people
wife
do
loves
that,
to say crack an egg over it.
Oh God,
That's
She just
Well,
enjoys saying it, or
I
she
think
does
cracking
it.
it.
she does it, but I think she likes the way the words sound, and that makes her do it more often.
That was uncool the way they cracked those eggs on that pizza without telling me. That they should have known that a young American kid would not.
But they wouldn't cook it first. They would
No.
have raw eggs on a pizza.
Yeah.
Dude,
That
one
doesn't.
time,
That doesn't.
I had to go to this kid Brian Jackson's house after a half day.
I like that you're giving full first and last names on the pod.
Yeah.
It's,
Brian was a kid who
Brian
had some
Jackson
problems.
is a pretty generic name, I feel like.
yeah,
you couldn't look him up.
he
if you
can't
wanted
be. He
to.
can't be found.
But he had a weird family, and all him and his siblings were adopted. Not that that's weird, but
Well, that's the only piece of
atypical.
evidence you've given so far.
it was weird because like he was like all jacked up and like had all kinds of issues. But
Yeah.
then he had like a very good looking popular brother, and then he had like a hellion little sister. They were a weird vibe, but the parents were the weird ones. And the mom had us there for lunch, and we were like 5th grade, and she had 1 personal pan pizza for me and all 3 of her children.
Come on.
So we each got a slice of it, which was like, already I was like, what is happening? This is
Those are really
unacceptable.
small.
Yeah, you can't have that for lunch. And then it was mushroom, and I was like, I don't do mushrooms. And she was like, you don't? I thought everyone loved mushrooms. I was like, how many 11-year-olds do you know?
People are really
because
different.
people don't like mushrooms. And then I remember she told me at one point, we were watching a VHS, and she was like, just flip over the tape. And I was like, they don't work like that. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to break your VCR right now. This house is fucked up.
What tape were you watching with
I
her?
don't know. We were watching some movie.
That sounds
or
awful,
something,
too.
And she was like, "Are you telling me to turn it over?" And I was like, "No,
Just
what?"
flip it over.
It was like broken or something, or the tracking was fucked. And she was like, "Just flip it over." And I was like, "That's not how
The
this
places
works."
our parents let us go. It's awful, you
hang
know.
out.
Back in the day, you could really fucking just escape from your house for hours
Yeah.
and get
Oh,
into
yeah.
some real shit.
Yep.
But like, I don't think it's. I don't know what it's like now. I don't know.
Like a hawk.
can't do that shit.
Watching my kids all the time.
Do you,
send them to other.
do you ever let your kids just? You're just like go outside, fucking figure it out.
Yeah, we did. We were in a nice neighborhood for a little while where we could kind of let them ride. We like let them ride their scooters around the block. And then when we were in my kid was in high school. My oldest son, like we were about 3 miles from the beach, so I would be like, just ride your bike, and he would ride his bike to the beach, do the rings and Santa Monica Pier and all
But,
that
like,
stuff.
From the time that I was in at least 3rd grade, I walked home, which is like a mile and a half. And like Brian Jackson lived halfway, and he would always try to like convince you to come to his house
Right.
for something, stop
Mushroom
off on
pizza.
your way home.
House.
And he would lie to you and tell you that he had like the Beavis and Butthead box set or something. And you'd get there and he'd be like, "Oh, my mom keeps it locked in her closet." And you're like, "This is bullshit, Brian." Now I have to hang out here.
When I was 9, I killed a water moccasin with a shovel.
Good.
Like just like
Those are poison.
we used to shoot. Yeah, this is when we were in Louisiana. I used to shoot. We had like there were these kids in our block we didn't like.
We shot.
So like we built forts like probably 30 feet apart from each other in the woods. We would shoot bottle rockets at each other, and they would fucking explode.
Yeah.
Like it's not safe at all to shoot bottle rockets at people.
I've been shot many times with BB.
Someone, yeah.
BB guns can. Where were you shot?
I've been shot all over BB
Where
guns.
were you hit?
In college, we had BB gun wars.
That sucks.
And
You do a
we-
BB gun to the temp, you'll
kill man
fucking
with a
you'll
BB
kill
gun.
somebody like that.
Yeah.
Well, so
Did you ever get assassinated with a BB gun?
Yes.
So somebody
My
walked
friend-
up behind you and tried to
No.
Lincoln you.
my
into,
friend Marty, though, once we were like on the same team, and I was going after somebody, and he was up in a tree, and he had a scope on this rifle, And like he sent me on a mission to like sneak up on somebody, and then he just shot me in the dick from the tree.
What a jerk.
Hell yeah, Marty fucking going up in my book. That's so funny.
Well,
so funny to shoot your own guy in the dick.
Yeah, that wasn't that cool. But our rule was that we had these air runs, and we could only pump them once, and then it would hurt, but it wouldn't be bad.
Break the skin.
And one time, I like was not involved in a BB gun war. I had this roommate George in college, and he was like a real dick with the BB guns, where he would just roll into a room where people were like playing Bond, and just like shoot you at point blank range, and then run, and that was like how you became in a BB gun war. And so he had done that
somehow
to Doug, one of my other roommates, and Doug was like trying to get him, and they were running throughout the house, and he handed me the gun and came running downstairs, handed me the gun, and was like, George is going to run through here, just pop him when he comes right by. And then he ran into the kitchen as if George thought he was in there. And I didn't know that he had pumped the gun like fucking 10 times.
Oh.
And like George came running in, and I just like shot him at point blank range. And this BB like lodged in his fucking arm.
No.
And then after that, I was like, we have to take you to the hospital. And he refused. And I have this on my computer. There's a video of us. We, with a penknife, cut a BB gun out of this kid's arm.
And then we all
Marty
went
actually
to
class
class
cuts it out.
the next
Look,
morning.
It's
An
first
A-star
rule of
test.
BB gun war is you tell no one. You can't go to the fucking hospital for that shit.
This was a very like no hospitals, no parents kind of vibes.
This
And
was
he's-
college?
Yeah. And then Marty cut it
Harrisonburg,
out with a
Virginia.
penknife, and he was smoking a blunt while he did it. It's on a video. We have it.
You were JMU.
We were.
I knew that. I knew that.
Yeah.
I forgot
This
about
is classic JMU behavior.
that. JMU, man. Every time I'd go there to drink or party, it was like the greatest weekend of my life.
Yeah, I tried to tell my cousin that. I mean, not my cousin, my nephew, because he just went. Our other brother's child just started college this year, and instead he went to tech. And I was like, "You're making a huge mistake."
Virginia Tech is still fun.
Yeah.
I like tech, but all I really know about that is they had like that school shooter,
Yeah,
and all I know about JMU is like
hot girls and parties.
hot girls and parties.
That's all you need to know.
And, yeah, the Ashby or no, was it Denby? I can't remember.
is
Ashby.
one of the apartment complexes.
Yeah. I was very briefly dating a girl who
Nice.
lived in.
It's right by the Turner Ashby Memorial, which is a Confederate war memorial. I've
Nice.
realized
Oh,
later.
how
That's
nice.
Ashby's
Oh, yeah.
a Confederate general, I think, or at least
It's probably not called Ashby anymore.
I bet you it is.
think
Because I
so?
don't think anyone's hip to the fact that it's related to history. Everything
There's
in that town is named
tons
after
of stuff still
Ashby.
that's like under the radar that nobody knows. Like, they're just like, it's
Nobody knows
everything.
that it's named after a Confederate anything,
Right.
and it's like everything in that town has been named that for 200 years.
There's a lot of shit that like we just do or accept that nobody cares about the origin. It's just like,
You can just
this
move
is
on.
where I live.
This
They-
sucks.
They did a poll in, I think it was Richmond, about like they were pulling out Confederate statues, and it was like a majority of black people wanted the statues to stay, or like the road. It was the roads. They were
Thank
renaming
you, Trump.
roads.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't want to fucking learn new names for roads.
Right.
It's the roads we drive on. People like.
And we didn't know Stonewall Jackson was on the side of the Confederacy because we don't know anything about it.
And nobody fucking like it's not applicable to your life today. It's just like
That used to be my argument,
Yeah.
like I would say about 10 years ago. And then I remember somebody just saying to me, but what if you do know and it makes you fucking uncomfortable every day that you live in a land that's celebrating this? And I was like, oh, no, you're right. We should just change the names. What the fuck? Why would we not change the names?
I feel conflicted on it because I get that, but I also feel like it's hard if the majority of people don't care.
Well,
and I also like
this is my Redskins argument always.
Well, let me
if we
let me
really
let me
want to get deep on it.
Let me tell you my experience. We just went to Mexico for our redo honeymoon, and
Was the first one a fail?
the first one was a fail.
Yeah.
First one was a big fail.
Oh, all right.
So this was 5-year new start, new fucking honeymoon. So we go to Mexico. My grandmother's from Oaxaca. It's the southernmost Mexican state.
yes,
so
I
it's
learned
like-
this about you on the podcast. that I
Yeah,
listened to.
yeah.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I'd
Here
never
we go
saw-
about Oaxaca again. Here we go.
Oh, another Oaxaca story. I'd never been there before. I'd
Here
never been to
comes Erick's
Mexico.
person of color shit.
Never been there. Don't speak Spanish. Didn't even know that it was like right next to Guatemala. Like had no idea. We go down there, go to a baseball game the last night, and it's the Guerreros of Oaxaca City Guerreros, which is Warriors. And first inning, guess what fucking chant they bust out? Oh, and I'm like surrounded. It's me and my wife and 4,000 Mexicans just doing fucking tomahawk chants. And I'm like, the next time someone complains to you about this chant, remember this moment that we're in right now.
The Redskins was like such a panic for like old white people, and it was the number one name of football teams on Indian reservations in the country at the time when they were like it. And you can say whatever you want to say about it. The only thing I ever said was, it's not a slur. It didn't start as a slur. Like, the origin of that term is more like just indicative.
Dude, they were the first team to have Native American football players.
And it's supposed to be about they had a Native American like coach or something that was an honor towards. But like at the end of the day, like, who gives a shit? Change it if you want to change it. Just don't call them the Commanders, you morons. That's the
Commanders
worst name I've ever
sucks. You know what would have been better? Commandos. I would have liked that.
Commandos would have been good.
How about just the Washington football team? We could have kept that shit.
I hate that shit.
I like it
why are you
better
going to make it
than
sound like a
Commanders.
fucking soccer team?
Dude, the Commanders is the worst name that
So
could ever
many
be.
anything
And you know what?
else,
The only thing worse.
How'd
I'll
they vote
say-
on that? The Commanders.
The only thing worse than the Commanders is the fucking Wizards. It's like all we have is badass names, and they steal them from us.
But the
Bullets and the
Wizards,
Redskins.
But the Wizards has almost. It's so bad, it's almost become good.
yeah, I
It's
guess.
kind of
Has it?
going around. Like I saw somebody wearing that, like that teal blue wizard with like
What
the
would've been
gay
a good
dude,
name?
like the the fucking.
The Bullets. I want a Bullets. I want it with the two hands. I want a Bullets
You can
jersey
get
from
those.
back
They're
in the
still
day.
the Baltimore Bullets. They sell.
Why
that.
did they got rid of bullets? Because they're like
Too much murder.
It's the murder capital.
First off, it wasn't what it meant. It meant like we're fast on the court.
Sure.
They should bring back bullets, and it should be bullets.
Yeah.
Actually, it should be like a gun. Like fucking, if it's what you're known for, then fucking do it.
Yeah, lean in.
There's no consistency with that shit.
These
like,
fucking liberals.
don't look.
I own a home in Bedford County, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Guess who that's named for?
Oh,
Founder of the Ku Klux Klan.
Nathan.
Whoops.
Nathaniel
Bedford.
right?
Yeah.
Nathan Bedford
Forrest, I think.
Forrest. It's
I
from
only know
Forrest
that from
Gump.
Forrest Gump.
We're all trying to remember the line from Forrest Gump.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
It's-
Well, this street that I live on is called Bedford. I don't
He
know.
started this club called
yeah.
the Ku Klux Klan.
Mama says, so we can be reminded of our like worst impulses or something.
That movie, I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Doesn't hold.
Has Tom Hanks had to apologize for it?
I don't know.
You
that
mean the
weird
accent?
he's doing?
The appropriating the the accent. The appropriation of a slow person. It was a simpler time.
yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, I loved it.
thing
But
is,
then it's
What
bad.
don't you like
Might
about it,
not-
Chris?
I don't
Let me
know,
hear it.
but I bet you if we watched it
It's
right now,
basic.
we'd all be like, this isn't that good.
I bet if I watched
hard
it,
to
I'd
turn it
cry
off.
8 times. Sad movie.
I remember-
I like the Jenny love story.
I like when he
was-
goes like this to the guy who beats Jenny.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Who I became friends
Oh
with.
yeah, that's a
You're
great.
friends with that actor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What I remember.
I know what he says before he hits her too.
Sorry
What does
about
he
you.
say?
Sorry, I ruined your Black Panther party.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had a fight in the middle of your Black Panther party. It's such a good fucking
My
line.
friend who actually married our cousin, his name is Johnny G. And one time we were all at the Outer Banks during college, and he attempted to jump from one balcony of a condo to another balcony. It was like 3 flights up,
Johnny.
and he fell, and he broke his back.
What?
And as he was like being stretched away into the ambulance, he turned to all of us and went, "Sorry, I ruined your Black Panther party." And it was great.
Johnny G.
so-
What happened to that guy? What, man, he's
He
wow.
later died at the hospital.
No, he's
No,
awesome.
I know he's
We
awesome.
know him now.
He's good.
Yeah. Oh, he's
married to our
such a
cousin.
kind.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's such a kind guy. He doesn't seem like a nut job
What a great
anymore.
fucking
He's
line.
hilarious.
That's so good. That's funnier than anything you'll hear somebody say on stage. Like
For sure.
I've been doing comedy for 16 years, and when I think in my life of like what are the funniest things I've ever heard, it's all like my fucking brother or some shit somebody said when they were drunk in college when we were 20 years old.
Yeah.
Those are the actual funniest moments.
Yeah.
And I feel like
How
I've
do you
just
turn
been
that into comedy routine?
I feel like you're chasing that. Like you're chasing that feeling of making those people laugh.
And I
Yeah.
can also tell you, if you try to recreate those in improv scenes, they don't work. That's
Right.
something I can tell you.
I do-
also doesn't work.
I do think there's like, I don't know. It's there's something about that early time when you're like discovering what you think is funny, and those natural moments happen with your friends where you're like,
It's also like
Yeah,
just
man.
things that happen naturally in the moment are always funnier. It's like I used to ride the train to like fucking Beth Melsky's office, and I'd be like writing lines in my head about like I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna improvise this if I happen to have the script, which is not common, but occasionally I would. And then you'd get in there, and like they would just like fall like lead balloons. It's like, or I would go in there with nothing and just like think of something in the moment, and then people would laugh.
You gotta let the magic happen. That's
You
what
gotta let the magic
learned to
happen. Think of the Wizards. The Wizards just know they have the magic in them.
Yeah.
It's like they've got Michael Jordan long past when you would like to have Michael Jordan.
I just remember the first time like he had a breakaway. It was like the first year he came to the Wizards. Just like dribbles up, fucking bricks it into like the 6th row, and the from like the then MCI Center.
Yeah, the MCI
and
Center.
I like as a kid being like,
we can't even
laughing.
get MJ to.
Well, I laughed so hard. I wasn't a Wizards fan. I remember watching the highlight on ESPN and laughing and being like,
Are you a Sixers fan?
I don't even. I think I am now. At the time, I just wasn't really a basketball
Mutombo.
fan.
Did he play? No, Manu Bol.
He was
Dikembe Mutombo was in Georgetown. Manu Bol was the guy, the tallest man in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Played for the
until
Bullets back in the day. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm
George
sure.
Murison.
I'm sure Yao Ming.
Yeah,
was
yeah.
taller.
This was a long time ago. Yeah.
And now that
Is he the one
guy.
who does the
That's Mutombo.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Greatest fucking.
Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah.
This is the single greatest taunt that
But it's
exists in
also-
sports.
It's good in commercials when he
How
does
tall
it. You
was
ever seen
he?
those?
Yeah.
I don't know if they do those anymore, but he would just smash down someone's thing in the grocery store and be like,
No, but I'm telling you, man. Yes, it's good. It's good in commercials. It's better in Rick Smith's face in a fucking regular season game against the Pacers. I used to love that shit, man.
because he like doesn't have like attitude exactly. It's like kind of
No, it was
fey
just
the
a
way
very.
he does it.
It was a very factual. Don't come in here.
African.
There was there's a backup quarterback on the Eagles named Coy Detmer, who is the brother of Ty Detmer, who was also a backup quarterback. And Coy Detmer, he only threw 10 touchdowns in his NFL career, but every time he would throw a touchdown, he would, wherever he was, he would run to the center of the field and like fake pulling out like a belt, and he would just like start to whip his dick at the other side of the at the
excessive
Packers.
celebrating penalty.
And it was like, you can watch clips of it online, and you're like, well, you would be like kicked out of the fucking league for doing that now. But like back in the 90s, it was like, look at this eccentric third string quarterback on the Eagles.
Have you ever watched like the clips in the final eras of like the 80s Bears celebrations before they had to change the rules, when the entire team would like get into the end zone and do their fucking dance and shit? It's like unbelievable that they do it for like 45 seconds.
Hey, these guys are entertainers. You know what I mean?
Dude,
It's
how-
good TV.
How fucking great! Like you watch those like. Sometimes I watch a lot of old football clips, but like
Me too.
the
Thanks,
the
Facebook.
old defensive highlights where you're like every fucking
the
hit
hit
is
right
like
with
a
the head.
personal foul. You're out of
Oh
here.
yeah.
Dude, I can still hear Joe Theismann's leg breaking. That LT hit will never leave me.
But that's not a fun one. That's just like
It's not a fun one.
That's a freak accident one. I'm talking like it's
not a freak accident.
A receiver goes up and like the safety hits him in the helmet, the linebacker hits him in the legs, and he like somersaults twice and lands on his head and bounces, and people are going like the announcers aren't like, oh my god, is he? They're like, oh fuck yeah,
Got his
like,
bell rung.
Yeah.
dude. I mean, it's like it was obviously very
And
bad.
now I was like, they're always throwing the flag, and I'm like, what's the fucking penalty? I don't understand. They're like, oh, that's a shoulder-to-shoulder hit. I can't figure out what the fuck is happening the last time I watched an NFL game.
Oh, don't get me started on the fucking Eagles losing the Super Bowl on a fucking fake holding call.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of shit where you're like, do you want people to hate football? Like, that's why. So I wish hockey. I'm not into hockey, but I was like, if they had just kept fighting, I probably would have made the switch.
They didn't?
No,
can't fight anymore?
they've kind of like made it so that
It's
you
not
can't
real
really
fighting.
you can't really fight anymore like you used to. But I remember like I did on ice promotions for a minor league hockey team in college,
Wow.
and
Wait a minute, you did what?
so it was like on ice promotions. So like
What's
shooting
that?
You wore skates?
shooting the t-shirt cannon.
Oh.
Like you
Were
put
you
it
on skates?
no, like I would just walk on boots. But like I was on a Zamboni at one point. Like it's
Hey
fun.
now.
It's fun shit.
Did you ever fall down?
In Virginia Beach?
Yes, everybody falls down at some point and busts their ass. It was the Norfolk Admirals.
Oh, okay.
I was at a skating rink yesterday. Or no, 2 days ago. I haven't been there in a long time. I was at the LA Kings facility taping this Geico commercial, and there was a whole display about Zamboni and the history of Zamboni.
Were you at the one in North Hollywood?
No, Paramount South.
Okay.
Yeah. Zamboni was a guy. His name was like Jeffrey Zamboni.
Yeah.
He changed the world with his invention of like slicking the ice, and his son Richard Zamboni took over the company. I have all these pictures of like the Zamboni, and like, you know, Charles Schultz loved the Zamboni. Charles Schultz loved to skate.
That's weird.
Yeah. Did you go to the place in Redwood City? Not Redwood City.
I didn't, but
Charles Schultz built his own ice skating rink for him and his friends to play hockey on. Oh yeah.
Keep
and we're
talking.
over.
And this thing ran out a long time ago.
But Zamboni.
Do you know Jim Lawnmower? Yeah, invented the couch.
I will tell you that Rod Langway's kids went to our high school.
Love Rod Langway.
And I have complicated feelings about them. But Rod Langway,
Drew Langway.
if you remember him, he was
You're
the
saying
Capitals.
so many people's names.
Rod
Langway.
Langway is a famous
He didn't
hockey
wear a
player.
helmet.
And
He
he
was
was
the
saying you hate his
defensive
kids.
captain.
I don't hate his
You're
kids.
saying you
No,
hate
we
his
like his
kids.
I
kids.
said I have complicated feelings. Drew and I are friends. Tucker, that's another story. But
Rod Langway didn't wear a helmet.
Christ.
He was
Didn't
like the
wear a helmet,
last
that's
man
point of
in the
story. He was the
NHL.
last. Yeah, he got it.
Crazy.
I thought you might know that as a DC-ish person.
He's
the,
watching the
remember him?
Capitals.
the last.
In the 90s, he still wore no helmet.
Well, there's a goalie for the Flyers who I'm forgetting his name, but he wouldn't wear a helmet until like the mid '80s, and he was a goalie.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
And it was like against the rules to not wear a helmet unless you were grandfathered in.
Unless you
as
were
a
old as
non-helmet
hell,
wearer.
like Rod Langway.
And he was like, "It's just I'm not wearing one."
Well, I remember like they were trying to get people to wear the for baseball players the little side thing.
No, those aren't cool.
Well, here's the thing.
They can help.
Nobody thought they were cool, and everybody was like, it makes it harder to see.
Broken jaws.
And then Giancarlo Stanton got his face exploded
Yeah.
with a fastball, and everybody was like, yeah, we'll wear those starting tomorrow.
Yeah, Rod Langway really cheated a lot of death.
Yeah. I like Billy Ripken because while Cal Ripken may have been the Iron Man, Billy Ripken had the record for leaning into more pitches than anyone in the league. He would lean in and get hit
got a record
all the
somehow.
time.
You know what I mean?
I was literally watching ultimate highlights of Chase Utley from the Phillies getting hit by pitches. He got hit 200 times.
Good God.
And the coolest thing about him is
Didn't hurt.
he would get hit like clearly in painful places,
Yeah.
and would just go drop the bat and fucking run. Like he never let on that he was injured, but you're like, that broke a rib.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting
Billy
fucking
would lean
drilled.
in and take bases because you got to get on base somehow. That's it.
Yeah, dude. That's
His dad said, you're off the team if you don't do it.
Because your brother's Cal Ripken and you got to fucking do something.
Craig Biggio for the Astros used to get hit a bunch too.
Yeah.
Barry Bonds would get hit, but he wore that fucking armor, so it like doesn't count.
Also,
If you go up there like Darth Vader,
he eventually
Did
had
you
like
play a lot of
giant
baseball?
head that like might have insulated him against things.
yeah, baseball was my sport.
Do you think if you went to the batting cages right now, you could hit like the 80 mile an hour?
I tried.
Yeah.
I
How'd
went
it
to
go?
batting cages in North Hollywood.
Yeah.
It wasn't 80. It was
60.
60. And
Castle Park?
I made I made contact with like half of them.
Yeah.
But honestly,
Did it
I
hurt
was
your hands?
Yes, and that's why I
Yeah.
don't think I went all the way through the pitches. But like I wasn't even like I was like by the end I was just like lightly swinging and aiming at the ball. Like I wasn't trying to make hard contact.
Right.
But the crazy thing is, even with 60, you like just kind of take the bat slowly through the zone and make contact. The ball jumps.
Oh,
like
yeah. Just
Yeah.
about timing, starting early, getting a quality swing, and yeah.
keeping the bat head in the over the plate as long as you can.
Timing.
How do you get your swing to where like you maximize the amount of plate coverage you get?
Have you guys been to Castle Park in Sherman Oaks? I'm living in Sherman Oaks these days, and it's a city park. It's awesome. It's right off Sepulveda. There's three putt-putt golf courses
there's
that
an
you can
arcade.
do. There's an arcade,
Yeah.
and there's a batting cage.
Yeah,
the
that's
batting
the place-
cages
that's the
are
place I
awesome.
was.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have the faster one. They have an 80, I think.
I didn't see the 80. I saw the 60.
Maybe 60 is the fastest. Maybe.
I
thought it
also,
was an 80.
after I got out of the 60, a 10-year-old girl came in and just started lacing doubles. I was like, fuck. Dude.
I
her
can't
whole
remember
life
the
in
name
front
of
of her.
it, so it's not gonna land that well. But there's a place in Ventura. I wish I remember the name. It's like the Gas and Sip or the something.
The Karate Kid place?
It's the place where the Karate Kid
You
goes
said
on
it was
his
in
date.
Ventura, but I looked that up to go to it, and there was like they say, "Oh, we filmed that somewhere down like Corona or something."
No, it's in Ventura. I was there. It's obvious. It's like we went to
wanna
what's that
go
place
there.
where everybody goes that's kind of hipster inland north of here. I don't know. What do you mean? That town where everybody
Ventura.
goes?
Whittier.
No, that's east. It's like,
A hipster town?
The place
Sacramento.
where like people get married
Santa
up there.
Clarita?
It's kind of hip.
Ojai?
Hippies. Ojai, yes. So we went to Ojai.
Hippie, not hipster.
And we were bored, so we came back into Ventura to
Ventura's
go to
cool.
like, the whatever in Suds. And it has not changed since the Karate Kid went on his date there.
I want to go
and
there.
you go on the bumper boats, and it's a good time. And
Where in Ventura is this?
I'm not going to be able to help us with
It's not
that.
Ventura.
I can look it up. We can put it in the show now.
I've only been to Ventura to go to like the worst comedy festival I've ever been in.
I could
Sounds
see that.
fun.
There's like the I don't think it exists anymore. Like the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club.
Oh, boy.
And you would go there, and the guy would go. It was just like an excuse to get comics money because he had to pay to submit. But he'd fill up the audience. It was a filled up audience.
And
But
you made him laugh.
He put like 40 audience members, or he put like 40 comics on the show, and everybody would get like 2.5 minutes. And he would go, it influences the audience unfairly if I say your name or give you an intro.
What?
So a comic would get off stage, and he also wanted the order to be random.
Is it a contest?
It's a contest.
Oh, I see.
So he would a comic would get on. He would go 4. And a comic would stand up, go on stage, do 2.5 minutes. Thank you for your time. And as before the other comic was off stage, he would just go 17, and then the guy would come up and go. And it was like
Really creating a vibe there.
Well, here's the
we're all in trouble
Are there
vibe.
judges?
it'd be one thing. He's the judge, of course. It'd be one thing if it was just like
You had to pay to do this?
we had to pay.
What a jerk.
Now, I think like I got like semifinals. I think if you won, you got to like headline a weekend, so you probably make a little bit of money.
At the Harbor Club?
But I just kept thinking it doesn't exist anymore. Ventura Harbor Comedy Club.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, what is the experience like for the audience doing this? Like, for like 40,
They had to pay to be there
40
too.
fucking comics doing their best 2.5 minutes nervously. Like, that's got to be
That's a real weird
miserable.
thing.
Miserable.
Yeah.
Who goes to comedy clubs? You do a lot of comedy, right?
I do a lot of comedy.
What's your typical set length? 20 minutes?
If you're like headlining, you do like I was on the road in Albany and other places. Like you'll have like the opener does 10, a feature does 15, and then like the headliner will do like 40 minutes to an hour
At a comedy club.
at a real
At a
but that's
2-drink
like,
minimum.
That's a 2-drink minimum comedy club where the person coming up for 40 minutes is someone that people are coming to see.
And what do they pay to go to that?
They're probably paying $15-20.
And what does a headliner get offered from a show like
They're
that?
usually doing a door deal, or they're getting a guarantee. So like when I did a very small club in North Carolina recently, and I got a guarantee $400 for 2 different shows. Or no,
Did
it's
they pay for your
$300
flights or your hotel, or is that you
I
have to
paid
pay
for my flight,
and hotel?
but I flew home and saw my family,
Oh, okay.
and then just like went down. Like it was close enough to just drive. So I didn't have to pay for a hotel. So it was like, so for me, it was like, I'm at the level where when I go on the road, if I can break even on shows, like getting paid versus what I spend, I'm happy. But most comics that are on the road, I would say, are losing money.
Damn.
And then there's like, 1,000 comics that are headliners or whatever and crush
They
it.
make money.
But I think it's like, it's very hard now to not have like a day job.
Ugh. I don't like hearing that.
Yeah,
I kind of want to try it. I want to
Whatever.
try comedy. I've never done it, but I would like
It's
to
too
try.
late. Don't do it. I don't mean that to be a dick, but
No,
like
that's all right.
you've got kids and a life. I would.
Have you ever seen the movie Punchline?
Yeah. With
Yeah.
Tom Hanks?
I'm
but-
the Sally Fields character here.
Yeah, but also in that movie, they pretend like Sally Field is so much older than him, right?
Right, that's
No.
creepy.
And
yeah.
he's not.
She plays her mom in the next movie.
no, I
No,
think
they're the same age.
That's
and they
what it
love
is.
each
I'm
other.
sorry.
Is that she's the mom in Forrest Gump, but they're love interests in Punchline.
But
Came
I
out
think
2 years
in
apart.
Forrest Gump, what they also do is like
They age her up.
age her up
Yeah.
by the time he comes into the movie.
Yeah.
But it is a little weird. I
All
remember
roads lead
People
to
didn't
Forrest
care
Gump,
back
man.
then. Yeah.
the show Nip Tuck. Remember that show?
Sure.
The son and
FX?
the son and the mom dated.
The actors?
No, real.
What you talking about?
The show Nip Tuck.
Sure.
I didn't watch it.
You mean like the kid got older and then they dated?
No. There's the kid in the
Yeah.
show, and he's like, "Fuck you, mom."
But how old is he in real life?
14.
What?
I'm kidding. No, he's like 30 playing a
Yeah.
16-year-old,
It's a Dylan.
and the mom
situation.
is 32 playing a
Oh, so
40-year-old.
in real life they dated.
In real life, they dated. On the show, they
that's
were
funny.
mother and son.
Jeez.
Is that a little?
A lot of good nip tuck.
I couldn't.
How many seasons did they go?
Dating or the show?
The show.
The show went like 5 seasons.
I did.
The show is insane.
I had a roommate who dated a girl who was like way into nip tuck, and she was always insisting that I would be into it, and she left a nip tuck box set at our apartment.
Come on.
And I was like, I just won't watch this. Out of like spite, I was like, I will never watch this.
Let me tell you something. First season of Nip Tuck is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's a show that more than jumps the shark.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you get if you like that kind of shit, then I guess keep going. But first season, did she leave you the first season?
She probably did. I may have even watched it. I don't know.
You still got
I
it?
don't remember. It's here somewhere.
It's fucking loaded up.
We should just watch it.
Now there's an episode where Christian Troy confronts his the priest that molested him.
I didn't.
That's
see
always
that coming.
That's always a good one.
God.
I wasn't molested.
There
but
was also a movie where a retarded gentleman premature ejaculates while this other girl has to like witness it all in horror.
What movie?
We all thought that was the greatest movie of all time.
What
It's
movie?
Forrest Gump. We're talking about Forrest Gump.
Wait, he
goes to Jenny's room.
And he premature ejaculates?
And she like takes off her bra, and then he premature ejaculates. And then they cut across the room to the roommate with this like abject horror look on her face.
I do not
and we're all
remember
like,
that.
This is the greatest feel-good movie of all time.
I do not remember that scene.
What I remember most about that movie.
I thought they slept together in her dorm room.
No. Later they sleep together when she has AIDS and comes back to visit him at the plantation because she's an evil person.
And that's how she got the baby.
Like, no, whatever.
Baby Gump.
That's how she gets little sixth sense, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Man, the combination of things you just said. No. The retarded guy premature ejaculates, then the AIDS chick fucks him.
Listen, that movie's fucked up.
That movie's, but it's a classic.
It pulls at your heartstrings.
It's a classic movie.
What I remember most is that I was, I guess, in 9th grade, so you were a senior, and your friend Anthony, I could give you his last name, he was like, you have to take girls to Forrest Gump because they're so emotionally drained afterwards that like they will hook up with you.
Dude,
he was always thinking.
My first girlfriend in high school, I went over to her house. I was like, I am going to make out with this girl. Like, I had not kissed her or anything. We sat down. We watched Forrest Gump. It's a fucking 3-hour movie.
Yes.
And I was too scared to make a move, so we just watched Forrest Gump.
Awful.
And
she was a lot of weird molestation stuff. The dad, that house.
The Rocks.
You guys aren't remembering.
I do remember that.
No, I remember that. I remember that the teacher
Jenny was a tragedy.
The teacher has to sleep with, or no, his mom has to sleep with the teacher.
That too.
To keep him in school.
Yeah, don't you remember? And he's like, your mama sure cares about your
I don't
schooling,
remember.
boy.
I don't remember the.
God, I didn't remember that.
I don't remember the
crazy.
molestation. What's the molestation
Jenny
part?
is being molested, so she prays to be a bird and fly far
God,
away.
Yeah.
Run,
And later,
Forrest,
once
run.
he has that sweet shrimping money, he has the house bulldozed.
You remember how he says it? Had your house bulldozed to the ground. He says it at her grave. He says it at her grave.
He does.
It, dude. I'm not.
It's everything
That movie's
American
fucking
filmmaking
crazy.
should be.
Let me say, when people go like a movie doesn't hold up, in my mind I go, did it hold up when you watched it? Because everything once you make it is a reflection of the time it was made in.
I'm not even saying that
to me, I'm
I
like-
care about the fact that these things are questionable. I'm just saying it's like a ridiculous movie when you think about it.
It's definitely it's a comedy.
I mean, it's just real weird.
It's a comedy with fucked up moments.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's a drama. Yeah, they judge you the whole spectrum, I think.
That fucking.
I still would
my,
watch it and be happy.
My dad.
And I would cry when fucking Bubba dies, I promise.
Oh my god. Well,
Bubba dies?
What do you mean? His real good friend dies in the mud fucking in Vietnam.
Oh, yeah,
we were
I
gonna-
remember that. Yeah,
Me and Bubba was gonna go into the shrimping business, but
Gave him a-
instead he died right there by that river in Vietnam.
I did a scene with that guy. I just shot a scene with that guy.
Yeah.
He didn't have the lip
That guy's in
anymore.
Heat.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets fucking killed in Heat.
That movie holds up.
That movie definitely holds up.
Yeah.
Me, Bubba, and SJP, Sarah Jessica Parker, did a scene. I think I was so bad I got cut out.
What was it?
It was called...
The Geico, another Geico commercial.
Oh, no, it was a feature film. It didn't do well.
I remember that kind of.
It was about like racial stuff on a campus and
Shrimping boats.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember the name of it.
What's the biggest thing you've been in?
I love Sarah Jessica Parker though. She was so awesome. Oh my gosh, she was so awesome to me. She was so sweet. Just some people are stars, right? She's definitely got that star quality. Where I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh my god, you're awesome.
Between her and the chick from Grey's Anatomy, who had the
Ooh, she was pretty awesome too. She really was.
The main lady?
Yes, I think
she
her name is
rules
Ellen.
that universe over there.
Yeah, she was hilarious. She was so funny.
Ellen Pompano.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Pompeo.
Pompeo. Pompeii.
Yeah.
She's named after the great tragedy.
Yeah.
She'd be on her phone talking to her daughter, and they'd be like, Ellen, we need to go. We need to roll. She'd be like, okay, just a minute. She was just, I mean, the whole show, it was like, she's like making $20 million an episode or something, and everybody else is
season
like,
12.
yeah, and she's like, whatever, we're on my schedule,
And they own like
I'm
a
in
hospital.
a car. I'm like put under like a crushed car, like that they've had to put me in, and like, I can't move. And she's on the phone with her daughter, like, we're gonna do Donut Friday, and it's gonna be so fun. And I was like, I'd rather do this with you than like the scene we're about to do. I'd rather sit here and listen to you talk to your daughter. It was great. I really liked her.
They own a hospital on the east side that's just like their set or whatever.
No, it's not. I mean, own a hospital. There's a hospital set at Silver Lake
I'm just
Studios.
saying they
I think it
have
is.
that whole fucking facility that's
It was
just for
also
their show.
but
no,
it's
it's
not like
also
an-
used for General Hospital.
But it's not an active hospital.
no.
Okay.
It's a general.
I mean,
it's
like,
the General Hospital set.
It was also
the
General
chick
Hospital.
the chick from Grey's Anatomy is so wealthy she just bought a hospital.
What I'm saying
and
is
is
like
performing like tracheotomies.
they made that show for so long that they have like their own city that's just like their production fucking thing for 20
She's
years.
so sweet. She's like a little Boston girl who like, just like hit the jackpot with this show. And she's really charming. She did tell me a
She's
story
old school.
that she went out on a date with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah?
I mean, that's pretty cool.
I've
Don't
heard
sit
that-
here and listen to that.
I've heard that when Leonardo DiCaprio has sex, he
Headphones?
puts the headphones and
that
just
too.
lays back.
What?
I don't know why we all know that.
I actually have.
I didn't know
because
that.
I think it's a.
I'm not sure you guys know
it's
that.
a made up thing.
People say
I
that.
actually
Oh, yeah.
do have a story about Leonardo DiCaprio,
too, actually.
but we won't do it on the pod.
What? Well, I have one.
We'll do it on the Patreon.
Okay.
You get
should we
paid for
stop
this?
talking about
No, there's no Patreon.
I both ran into Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes right in like 95, 96 in New York City during the time period of
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet. But I ran.
Wait, you ran into them? You were like 12.
The
So
Bob
I was probably
Lerman.
13, 14.
like 13-year-old Chris still considers
What were you
himself
doing in
like
New York City?
running into people.
Well, I was at a street fair in the village outside, and
Sorry.
Leonardo DiCaprio was there. And this is maybe What's Eating Gilbert Grape had happened, and he
Yeah.
had been on Growing Pains, so I knew him. And he's with what I now realize is the Pussy Posse, like Eric from Entourage and Lucas Haas and all the famous like whatever. Look him up if you don't know about his exploits.
I don't know
him
about
and all
that.
his crew that used to run around Hollywood.
Yeah.
And like they're high as shit. I also now realize, but like they're all crowding around him at like some little street booth fair, and he's taking these two like pens that have like little face tops on them and making them make out and going like, "Ugh," and they're all like laughing like, you're so funny, Leonardo. And like I like mustered the courage to like walk 5 feet over to him, and I was like, hey, aren't you? And he turned and was like, yeah, I am. And they all laughed at me, and I was like, fuck you guys. And he just fucking walked away. And I was like, well, those guys aren't very cool.
I do like the.
Except for those guys are very.
I do like who's the actor that played E on Entourage?
I don't know his name.
What's his
Kevin
name?
Connolly?
Kevin Connolly.
I do know his
Nice.
I do. When we moved out to, because I watched Entourage.
I like that guy.
I like Entourage.
He's like a child star.
My when we moved out
Doesn't-
here,
Good
doesn't hold
Irish-looking guy.
when we moved out here, my wife was like, "What's a good LA show we can
fun.
watch?"
Yep, me
and I
too.
was like, "You're probably gonna hate it, but let's put on a couple episodes
waited
of
for-
Entourage."
Every week we'd wait for
Johnny
it to come
Drama,
on.
dude, is the best.
And, well, here's the thing. We put it on with my wife. My wife's from Long Island. She fucking loved the show.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Because she's like, these are the guys I grew up with. Like she got that it's about the friendship, and yeah, we made it all the way to like. There's a line that Johnny Drama has that my wife had to check out, like her feminism. Like it just
Yeah, it
she
gets
hit her
bad.
head on the Entourage ceiling. But I'm surprised she made it a good like 5-6 seasons in.
And then I'll just finish with my Claire Danes. This is probably 4 or 5 years later, so I'm probably a pain in the ass, like 17, 18-year-old. And I was walking into the village again, and she was walking into a shop, like, I don't know, 20 yards in front of me. And for some reason, I went like, hey, Claire. And she, like, kept walking for, like, I don't know, 10 feet, and then, like, turned over her shoulder real quick to see if she actually knew who I was. And I was just like standing there staring at her, and she quickly turned around and like went into a store.
Yeah, as you
And I
should
was
do.
like,
Get away. Run away.
She'd be like, Chris?
Yeah. And that was like after my so-called life, so she was probably a pretty big deal.
Chris, where'd you go to high school?
Bishop Ireton, Dan went there
I
as well.
knew it was one of the rivals.
He's an O'Connell, man.
You
Oh, you went to O'Connell? That's
I
so
did go
weird.
to
I think we
O'Connell.
talked about this a long time ago.
Yeah.
O'Connell, fine. Was that also?
Arlington Diocese.
Well, no. Okay, yeah. For some reason.
PBI, O'Connell, and Ireton.
No, I was trying to ask you about the denomination. That wasn't an oblate school.
It's Catholic.
No,
But
I know
is there
that, but it
brothers?
wasn't like the
Is
who were.
There were.
It wasn't Jesuit. It
there
wasn't.
There were sisters.
Oh,
There were nuns. I had multiple nun
I
teachers.
wonder what order?
Do you
I don't
know?
know.
Holy
of
Cross, maybe. The Holy Cross was
Could be.
active down there.
Do you know of the lore of the PVI Steven Spielberg story?
No.
This could be good.
We
fodder
talked about
for
this.
your podcast.
We
You
talked
could
about
look
this when we
up.
played cards.
Let's hear it.
So in the 90s, some fucking weirdo, like 21-year-old, enrolled in PVI.
Oh,
That
you told me
young?
about that. I know about
and
it, yes.
he told them that he was Steven Spielberg's nephew, and that Steven Spielberg was going to donate like millions of dollars for a new like theater
Oh, those
facility.
poor
And the
idiots.
principal was letting him park in his parking space.
He had like a red Porsche or something.
And he eventually like was like dating a sophomore or something, and they found out he was a fraud and a criminal, and
they had let it all happen.
a lot of people got fired.
Ooh-wee. I mean, we just didn't know
That's
that
so
much in Northern
awesome.
Virginia in the 80s about Hollywood. I mean,
Dude.
the 90s,
But
you
like
know?
pre-internet, you could just do anything.
You
Yeah.
you could really get away with a lot of stuff. You just kind of compound. Well, you said this guy was older, but like in high school, so many people are lying and exaggerating about shit anyway, and it just you can't fact check people.
But like imagine in the 70s, like real pre-computers even, like you could just like pick up, move to another town and start a new family.
Dude, serial killers.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about serial killers used to just be like, I killed somebody today. I'll try again tomorrow.
Ted Bundy's got like he's killing people in towns over, like nearby.
And literally just like as simple as like I'm gonna pull over on the side of the road and wait until someone stops.
But like if
the,
you
the what's his name? The fucking Golden State killer.
Yeah.
Golden State something. He would
Green
he would just go up to doors and be like locked,
Oh, dude, that's the
Locked.
scariest guy ever. Is the
open.
the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. I don't know if you've ever seen that documentary. He did that all over L.A. He would just go into people's backyards and go in.
Who's locked?
He's
Yeah,
the
that's so.
creepiest one.
There's something scary about like when forensic scientists or like
But honestly-
detectives will go like, how can you predict
But Ted
who the killer will
Bundy-
be, who they'll choose?
Like, watch the documentary about him. He like killed a bunch of sorority girls in this one house where he had like just killed a bunch of people, like I don't know, 60 miles away or something. And if they had just like talked to each other, they would have saved all these people's lives. And instead, they were like,
Yeah.
don't warn anybody about this guy.
Oh my God.
Like fucking crazy.
It's hard to get. It's hard to like not. It was hard to stop people from doing shit like
But,
that.
like think
back
about
in
it. Your
the day.
license is just like typed on a typewriter, no picture. Like that's what you're dealing with as a license in 1975.
Yeah.
And like if you go to get a credit card, you could have had a credit card, and they had a book, like a fucking phone book, and they would look you up, and it would say like Erick Hellwig, he has $1,200 left on his fucking thing, and like people will be like, you would go to the one across town because you knew the gas station had an old book and it wasn't updated,
Yeah.
and like that was like the way you just got away with credit card fraud, like. And they would chunk you on the carbon copy thing.
Now, still, too, though, people getting away with that credit card fraud all the time.
Well, even like Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah,
you just
that's
get you just get good at like
Good movie.
getting shit wet
Leonardo
in the
DiCaprio.
bathtub, and that's another great
and Forrest Gump.
And Forrest Gump's in that.
another great Leo movie.
I think that movie is great, actually.
Can I tell you guys we gotta get out of here soon. 'Cause
Yep.
we're running a little over, but
Do we stay on topic? What were we supposed to talk about?
there's not fucking anything.
So there's 78 people watching this right now. Do we have a count?
I think
this live
I do
streaming?
have a count, but I don't say it because it's depressing.
Oh, okay.
But if you really want to know the count,
But what happened?
you can go first off. You can go on YouTube.
This is not live stream.
If you
I
go
didn't know there was video of this. I only knew it was
Is it
on. I
2
saw it
weeks?
on.
Right there.
I know that now. But before we did this tonight, I heard your shit through Spotify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
everywhere you can find every podcast platform. You'll
you
find
used
this.
to have a more successful podcast. Is that what you're saying? And it fell apart.
So I had a podcast about backup quarterbacks.
Oh, all right.
But it just got too
Niche.
It
I
just
feel
got
like we
too,
covered that.
It got too cumbersome to do it.
Yeah.
But I do still like talking about backup quarterbacks.
Sure.
I mean, we could talk about that.
We
Know,
did
next
talk
time.
about it.
Doug Williams.
We did. We did.
Tyler Buckner.
Doug Williams
Talk
is
about the
great.
belt guy. Doug
Yeah,
Williams
there's-
is the greatest quarterback.
Doug Williams is
He's the greatest. Came in and became. the lead quarterback. I don't know that there's a better story.
Doug Flutie, Nick Foles. I think Nick
Mark
Foles.
Rippon came to our high school.
Good Lord.
Nick Foles beat
Bishop
Tom Brady,
Ireton.
dude.
All right.
And
whatever.
Doug Williams did it for how many games?
Just that one season, really.
What was the season even?
He was the second half of the season.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Nick
but
Foles
he won the Super Bowl.
The Nick Foles
Super Bowl.
Nick Foles came in.
Yeah, but Nick Foles is a bitch.
Nick Foles isn't a bitch. Nick Foles made fucking Brady his bitch. Let me tell my story. I think this is like before cell phones, right? Because it was like my sophomore, junior year of high school. Like, not everybody had a cell phone. I was at a party and we were drinking, and it's like the first time we'd all drank, basically. So this one girl has like too many like wine coolers or something and has a stomach ache. So within 30 minutes, we're all like, somebody roofied Katie. And so the whole party just becomes like, I saw, I'm not going to use his real name, Derek. I saw Derek talking to Katie. I think Derek roofied Katie. And then there was this one guy who's actually like a famous musician now, but in high school, he was kind of a dork. He just like a try too hard guy.
This would be better with names.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not going to say his name. We'll call him Jim.
We'll call him
Jim was
Shave Grohl.
and Jim was crying, going like, he's like my brother, man. We share the same brain, me and that guy. He kept saying we share the same brain, which I thought was like, as a kid, I was like, that's like a brilliant way to say that you.
Yeah, man.
And I believed him. I was like, all right, now we know. And then the next day at school, like on whatever day it was, like I had like first period with this kid Derek, and I was like, hey man, people are saying you roofied this girl at that party last night. He's like, no, man, my mom found out I was drinking and I picked me up at the party at like 8 o'clock.
And it wasn't him. He had an alibi.
They literally somebody saw him at the party talking to the girl that had a stomach ache. That's what actually
Let me tell you a
happened.
little story about.
Let me finish my story. No, the end of the story is I go, oh, okay. Well, you should thank Jim because he was really like had your back at the party. Like he really stood up for you. And the Derek goes, who's Jim? no idea who he
Jim
was.
did the roofing.
Literally.
Yeah, this is a great roofie smokescreen if you're
That could be what it was.
God.
But I think what it actually was that guy just made up a story about being this dude's best friend.
That's a good story.
So that he could have like a cool thing to do at the, like, I'm the guy that defends him at the party.
But also, let me just say that if you roofie girls at a party, your move is not to then disappear. You'd be lying in wait.
No, exactly. You'd be.
But
yeah.
who was Jim? Oh, but he did.
Jim
was
was
your
Dave
high
Grohl.
school.
Jim was at the party.
Oh,
He's now
But
Ed
he
Sheeran.
he didn't know Derek.
He didn't know Derek.
He was just trying to fit in.
He was crying at the party defending Derek, saying that he shared the same brain, that they
I
were
hope he
close
didn't
friends.
do the
Two
roofing.
fucking-
But it sounds like she didn't get roofied for
Two
real.
She
natty
didn't get
lights
roofied.
will really fuck up a 15-year-old brain, man. Who
Yeah,
knows what goes
she was fine. Nothing happened.
It's so.
We had heard that roofies exist.
Yeah, and nobody
And-
has them when they're 15, by the way.
No.
It felt like such a big deal when you were that age too, right?
I
Like, it's
remember being at the party being like, everybody should say their piece, like just making sure that we all.
My
It
kids are
became
that
like a
age now.
referendum on this kid.
Got to learn how to navigate social life, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look. Oh boy. Yeah.
I don't understand though, like the roofie thing that never makes any sense to me. It's like everybody's always claiming they got roofied, and I'm like,
I think I got roofied for the first time in my life at like a 50th
I got
birthday
roofied
party
too.
in Ventura.
listen.
And I
plenty of
roofied your
people
drink
have
before
been
we
roofied. I've taken Rohypnol just to get fucked up. Like,
Oh.
GHB is the thing that they actually give to you if they're trying to rape you. But what I'm saying is, I know many a person, like, there was a girl we did improv with, and she would be like, I know my boyfriend can drink 24 beers, and he only had 24 beers, so someone put something in his drink because he smashed a window at a gym. And I'm like, I think it was the 24 beers. I don't think it was the roofies.
Yeah.
I had 3 to 4 drinks and was more messed up than I'd ever been. And maybe I'm out of shape or old or something, but like, no,
could
I
be.
think
I'm
this
not
guy
saying
was
people
giving
don't
out
roofie
shots behind the bar of clear liquid in a pitcher. That's where you put the roofie or whatever you're trying to do.
I would
Yeah.
put it at
Some shit,
20% on the amount of people that claim they've been roofied who actually have been roofied. That's
Yeah. I like that you're taking down Big Roofie today. You know?
Yeah. And also,
Don't
no
try
one
to
has
tell
roofies.
Chris. Yeah. Also,
That's an obscure drug to have.
yeah.
Yeah. I've never been roofied or seen. I've never seen one.
Me and Marty took roofies in Welcome to the Johnsons down on the Lower East Side, and we sat in the back,
Welcome
and I
to
was
the
like,
Johnsons.
nobody could fucking rape me if they wanted to. Like, I'm a little bit high, but
Just makes you drunk.
Marty was like,
Drunk.
"We'll see about that."
He actually met this British girl named Sam, and they left. And I was just sitting there fucked up, like, this sucks.
Okay.
So Sam roofied him.
So Sam swooped in.
That was at a time
Like,
where
these guys look like they're roofied.
we were buying drugs like via the internet from like whatever pharmacies, and we got Rohypnol that way. And at one point, like, we had a buzzer on our building, and that was the only way anything ever came. They buzzed us stuff, and we were on the 4th floor, and somebody like knocked on the door and was like, FedEx, I've got your drugs, basically. And my friend Jonathan, the one who stole, he went out the fire escape, and he was like, fuck that, man. That's not regular.
This dude seems pretty cool.
I just don't want my kids to ever have friends like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have lame people in their lives.
But I think the only way to avoid it is to have one and learn the lesson.
Yeah, but they're insidious.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's hard to
They
like
eat up years of your life.
How do you like learning to like the people that need to be cut out, because those types of people will find the
Your
nice.
parents do it for you.
Yeah,
I'm telling my son about certain people. I'm like, look, those people are knuckleheads. Don't.
Yeah, but you got to figure it out.
it's
on
hard
your
to,
own.
if you they call it like steamroll parenting. If you just like level out things for your kids so they never like learn how to navigate that
that's
stuff.
True. That's
they're
true.
in a rough.
Yeah.
They'll be in a rough spot.
I mean,
true.
the problem is, like, I was too trusting. Like, it did never occur to me that Jonathan could have robbed Marissa. I was just like, that could have never happened. Why would he steal from our friend?
Dude, there were people at the pit like that.
Yeah.
That we would hang out
know
with.
who you're talking about.
We would hang out with and we'd be like, this guy's cool. And then you're like, oh, that guy was stealing people's rent money for 6 months.
Yeah,
or
or like took people's phones out of the back or whatever. Like,
and you just go, holy fuck, man! I thought I knew that guy. But that's the whole point: is somebody that like comes in and sees like a place of like, you know, fucking
People
liberal
trying to
theater,
improv their life.
liberal theater kids trying to do improv, and they're like, I'm about to steal some fucking
or
phones from
someone
this
comes in
bitch.
and is like, I could charge these guys $400 for 8 weeks at a time, and then put them
give
on
me a
stage
break!
and charge tickets.
Don't go off on the great owner of this place.
I'm surprised.
I'm going to try to become someone like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I
Ali's a
could try to
genius.
sell a lot of just like, you know, my.
I just remember like we were
Classes.
like begging. We're selling out his theater, and we're like begging only for like a drink ticket as payment. And he's like, I did these new floors for all you guys, and nobody seems to appreciate that. And I was like, I don't care about your floors. Just give me a beer.
So it's so funny that we all were like just dependent on the whims of a madman for our career.
But he shot himself in the foot, because then all the bartenders ended up giving us free drinks all the time anyways, because they like.
It also like my thought on that stuff is like, look, it would have been cool if he had run it better, but for the time that I was doing comedy at the pit, I was not that good at comedy. And I would come in, and there would be fucking 80 people just sitting, waiting for me to do it. Like, I never would have gotten good without those audiences.
I have nothing
So, like,
negative to say about my time at the pit. I met my wife there, a lot of my friends there. I never.
You met Harriet there?
Yeah. She was
towards the end, or
yeah, right towards the end. I took over a level 1 class, and she was in that class. And then after she was done with that class, we started dating.
After the class was over.
After the class was over, when I didn't have the power of
You're like,
comedy
they're like,
teacher job.
if you want to pass this class, you will accept my seed.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, everything, I was happy with everything I did there. I had a home base. I had 100 people in an audience once a week for years.
Yeah.
And I never made the mistake of, like, outside of teaching, I never made the mistake of like working directly under Ali, which I think is really where he gets you.
That's what I did.
And I know you did that.
Yeah.
It's like when you become like one of the inner sanctum, it's like, no, not.
But even then, like, look, he was a dick sometimes, but I'm also like, it was that at that time that was the best job I'd ever had.
I fucking love Ali.
So I have no beef with any of that stuff. I'm like, I have heard. I met my wife at the pit.
Yeah,
No
I've heard
beef.
many
Straight.
negative things that other people have had, and I understand that.
And I
but,
think
like,
they're being big babies.
Yeah,
That's
well-
my actual thought. That's my big thought is people are being big babies and they wish that it could have been run differently, but the truth is anybody can start a
You
fucking
can sit
theater if
around
they
and be a
want to.
baby, or you can keep on growing.
Well, people
Yeah.
act like there's a conspiracy against him. I remember this kid like flipping out. I won't say his name, talking about like
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the council they're doing this and they know that and they're taking her off their screen. And I'm like, the council, like it's like me and Ashley in the fucking back, like
I was on
doing
the-
this for free. What are
It
you
was Matt
talking?
I was on the
Oberg
council one
Matt
time.
Oberg did
I'm
that.
sure you were.
The council's fun. I know you probably loved being on that council. Just like choosing people's fate. Just like
I
that.
think you'd
You
be surprised.
admit it, dude. You fucking loved it.
What I did on that council, which I will say is my claim to fame on that council, is that came in who I
Nobody,
much
by the way,
enjoyed.
pause for a second. Nobody knows what the fuck we're talking
doesn't
about.
matter,
This
but-
is
Everybody
so the audience knows
everybody
what we're
watching
referencing.
this knows exactly what
we
you're
were
talking
on
about.
we were on a committee at an improv theater that chose who got to stay on Super Free Monday and Super Free Wednesday theater shows. That's
we
what
got to choose
this
the
is
house
about.
team members, and at one point, this new artistic director came in, and he wanted to get rid of 2 8-person slots in favor of 2 people having a team by themselves and another group of 3 having a team. So we would go from 16 people down to 5, and there's a lot of people that fought to like get on those teams. It's the whole reason they take all these classes, and it's like a big deal to them. And he was very cavalier about this, and I like refused to let him do that and was like, we will split the hour in 3, and we'll do a 2, a 3, and then a 5, and I'll be on the 5, like, so we don't have to fucking whatever. I fell on the sword, and then the person that got on the 2 person was like very mad at me about it and was like, this wasn't what was pitched to me. And I was like, go fuck yourself. Like, why should you have that over other people?
Yeah, I think when all that stuff kind of collapsed, I felt everybody deserved it.
Yeah,
That was my actual feeling.
I was in LA by then and I didn't care. But
Yeah, I felt I'm like, if you're still hanging out and you're in the rubble, it's kind of like the cult thing. It can be a little
Definitely.
culty, and like, you know, if you hang out by a guy that's branding pussies, and you're like, you know what, you're never gonna believe what this guy did to me. I'll go, I have a guess.
You did keep that one girl in
he
a room,
branded-
though, for like a year. Keith Raniere. Do you remember that?
Ollie,
He kept a girl. Yes, he kept a girl in the room for a
She's
year.
way fucked. Not Ollie.
But here's the thing: all that shit, it's like, well, that stuff's illegal. But the whole thing of like somebody
Convincing, though,
somebody tricking
Just
you to like
be
give
in
me
the
all your
club.
money
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that's legal.
Go to the pit prom.
You can go to the bid prom. All
sales.
that stuff
It's
completely
sales.
legal. If
Salt
somebody's an
the
idiot,
pain.
if somebody's an idiot and they can salt your pain enough to take your fucking money and your life and
Improv takes your life.
yeah, man, like it's America.
Oh, I want to start something like that so bad. I need to
Yeah,
start
we should
something like that.
we should
So
get
we're
a,
starting a cult.
we should get an improv theater going.
It's not that different.
I
than
could do
sales.
it.
We've
By the way,
established
a lot of people in the years since the pit still exists actually, but whatever.
The old pit.
Yeah, the old
Yeah.
pit. But like people have started like very ethical versions of improv theaters. You know what happened to all of those theaters?
No one cares
They're
about them?
fucking gone because you have to run it like a piece of shit. Ali, you the man.
Always
Guys,
liked that guy.
how can people find you on social media, websites? What should people do?
Dan.
Hey, I staged my own death about 7 years ago, and there's no trace of me online.
Okay.
That's not true, is it?
Dan O'Brien USA on Instagram, and
You sure that's not the Olympic athlete, Dan O'Brien?
some people are not sure. We get confused a lot. Here's my beef with Dan O'Brien, the decathlete. Someone made a joke about that today. Dan versus Dave. You remember that?
No.
So a lot of people do. A lot of people don't. But in like 1996, the Olympics, Nike put out this big thing, Dan versus Dave, the 2 decathletes, and one didn't even qualify. It was a big thing. Dan O'Brien was the decathlete's name. He's the #1 Dan O'Brien on the internet. Why? He's a public speaker. He was an Olympian. Like, not every Olympian is like out there trying to. I just need him to get out of my way so I can have
Maybe
a little more
if you
fame.
hadn't gotten cut out of that scene with Bubba and Sarah Jessica
Spinning
Parker,
in the butter. That's what that movie was called. Spinning in the butter.
that was probably the one thing your IMDb needed to kick you up.
IMDb, Dan O'Brien, 23rd.
I'll throw you in on the IMDb for this podcast. That might get you above that
Dan O'Brien
decathlete.
USA
I'm trying to find
on
my
Twitter and
glasses so I
Instagram.
can read
I used to be a verified person on Twitter, and then they took that away, and I was like,
then they
my
took
life
that
is
away from
meaningless
me.
now.
I don't know what my name is on Instagram.
W.
It just
Blevins?
says your story underneath.
Isn't it C O'Brien 80?
That's my email a lot of the time, but I think that was taken on.
No, I think you're
no,
C.
it is.
O'Brien
It's
80.
C. O'Brien 80. You're right.
How the fuck do I know your Instagram
know.
handle? Jesus, guys. And then what's the dog's name again?
Frankie has her own
Francesca.
website,
She
right?
does have an Instagram, but it's
Instagram.
been fallow for 4 years.
Okay.
What's fallow?
It means
Dead?
it's no
Lying
longer
in
functioning
wait.
like the Darlene Facebook.
Okay. That dog is so cute.
Yeah, she's cool.
Thanks for doing the podcast, guys. This was a lot of fun. Dan, thanks for hopping on last
Thanks
minute.
for driving over here. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh, don't thank me. I got fucking tricked. Yeah, this was fun. Thanks,
You
guys.
should go for a
Word.
swim. All right. Thank you.
Go for
right.
some what?
A swim.
Oh, swim.
I thought you said smoothie, and I would
We
go
all
for
hear what we want to
I would
hear.
go for a
Yeah.
smoothie. You got the stuff. All right, later.
Word.